the biggest crash I think I've had on a mountain bike at that time. And I couldn't remember. I remember the whole crash, but it was like I was a cloud inside my brain, and my body was just rattling down the hill. So I don't know if there's a form of being knocked out where you're aware but you're numb. Okay. And that's what it was like. So did I hit my spine? Did I tweak my neck? I really don't know. But because I got up and I was physically okay, I was cut but I had no broken bones. Well, you kind of just carry on. And I was oblivious to head injuries at that point.
Right. Welcome to another episode of The Ride Companion. Today we are joined by, you'll like this, former UCI mountain bike world champion, the Flying Scotsman, Reece the Fleece, the Scotch Barnet. I came up with that one. It's quite good. The Bagpipe Blaster, the Tartan Tornado. We can keep going.
Oh, that's good.
Let's stop there. Reece Wilson. There we go.
Thanks for having me. What an intro, wow.
Wow. When you said Reece the Fleece last night, I was like, I'm putting that in my little thing that I made.
Yeah. You can thank my mum for that one.
Personally, the Scotch Barnet.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah. I like the Tartan Tornado. I've never heard that one before. That's
Tartan Tornado,
that's
mate. Yeah. You can use those butt patches throughout the year.
Yeah, good idea.
Pretty sick.
I've always thought about that. Somebody needs to bring back the butt patch.
They do.
It's been too long.
Butt patches are sickest.
It's easy in downhill too. You don't have the seat in the way.
That's true.
Full cheeks.
The last one I seen that was good was when Bren did Netflix and Chill for Death Grip 1.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
And that's a while ago now too, yeah.
It's a while ago.
Somebody needs to step up.
Bring back the butt patch.
Right, I'm on it.
Yeah, literally it's over to you. But yeah, hyped to have you on here, dude. We've been going back and forth for a long time about making this happen. And what better time than now? I mean, new team. Loads of stuff to cover. We're going to go through some backstory today, some of the, 2020, talk about all those years. And then, mainly talk about the new team and the future of Aon Racing. But first, right, I did this thing the other day when we recorded, and I thought it was pretty cool. Sorry. I'm going to show you a picture. And I think it's just a great way to lift off the show.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I'll show you a picture, and then we'll use that as our takeoff point. All right,
okay.
Ready?
Yeah. The beginning.
Okay, so for those listening, I just showed Reece a photo. What was that photo?
That photo is me as a full moto kid, full Fox motocross gear, so all the clothing that I was wearing that year to race the Scottish Motocross Championship, and I decided to do the winter series at Innerleithen. So that was one of the, not sure exactly, but one of the very first downhill mountain bike races that I would have done was like a 3-round winter series at Innerleithen.
Okay.
And that photo is a Roots and Rain photo from then.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it, sorry.
Yeah, and who doesn't? Roots and Rain is terrible of us.
It's got the watermark.
Yeah, exactly. And back then I definitely had no clue. I didn't care less. So that is what that is from, yeah.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about life at that point. Moto kid growing up, established over the last sort of, 24 hours hanging out with you, that you're from a little town in Scotland. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about being a moto kid in a small town in Scotland. Like, how does that become a thing?
Yeah, just my dad, obviously. Dad, we had nothing but stubble fields all around us. So it was like kind of a normal thing at his age from like 18 to, I guess early 30s probably, just put knobbly tyres on whatever bike you can afford and get it into the closest stubble field and just razz it until it's dead, basically, and that was life for them, whether it was cars or motorbikes. They were just in fields all the time, and I guess that's where his love for motocross came on. So you can imagine, second child, son, they had a daughter first, then they get a son. It's like the perfect, you get one each sort of thing, and it's straight away he's like, right, motocross kit. Can't wait to get my bike. So bought me a PW50 when I was like 5 years old and straight to the motocross races. And it was every single weekend, religiously. Oh yeah, it was like leave school, maybe sometimes early on a Friday or even on the Friday morning and go to wherever we're going. We're all up and down the country. Obviously automatics, 60 kind of small wheel 85s was mostly just UK, like national stuff. Yeah. Kind of Scottish predominantly, and then when I went to like for the American super mini British guys, just big wheel 85s, I tried a few British championships, and I'd done okay. I was like got a couple of top 10 results, ripped a couple of hole shots. Pretty sure I ripped a hole shot against Ben Watson one day, which was it's a bit of a claim to fame. So I was all right. I was all right in my good days, but just quite scared. Always just raced in fields and stubble fields and stuff. So never really, when it came to big jumps and like the technical ability of jumping on a bike, which is probably one of my strengths in downhill now, so I'm not quite sure how that's panned out, but I was never very good in a motocross bike, could never really throw big scrubs or whips. Okay. And it's only really, well, I guess I won't jump too far ahead, but yeah, came to 16, 17 years old, I'm trying to leave school. The school were kind of sweeping me out the door.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah, they were looking at my grades and they're like, "You're not really making us. You're not making us look very good here." So like, yeah, they're heading me towards the door, and I was kind of like, "Yeah, I want to leave anyway." So this was me in 5th year in high school.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the equivalent is in America, but yeah, like 16, 17 years old. So I had no idea what I wanted to do. Really? Absolutely no idea. My dad was an engineer. He has an engineering company in Galashiels, Anderson Wilson Engineers and Welders, and I loved welding. I loved fabricating. It taught me that. I used to make our own sump guards for our motocross bikes, and like I would be in the workshop doing that with them. And so I'm a pretty dab hand at engineering. I understand how all of the metal processes work. So that was the original plan, but he really didn't want it. He worked with his dad, and the relationship got tarnished pretty bad because of that. So he didn't want that. He wanted me to go and pave my own way, and then maybe I could come back into the family business a bit later on when I've kind of done the maturing somewhere else, and as he said, almost seen how bad it was somewhere else, you know. So you respect what you've got here. So that was it. I'm leaving school. I'm going to be a plumber, and that lasted about 2 weeks. And Rory Cunningham brought a motocross bike into my dad, and an absolute heap of shit. Yeah, so excuse my French, but that is, you couldn't sum it up in a better way. Could not get the thing to run. Anyway, gave it back to Rory and said, "Listen, I've tried my best. You're not owing me anything for it. Maybe just take my son out. Like, I've told him that you're a mountain biker and he's not shut up about you for the last 2-3 weeks. So how about you just take him out on a mountain bike ride, see how it goes, whatever." So fast forward to standing in Alpine bikes in Leithen. We walked to me in and was like, "Can we sort recycle a bike?" Got me a remedy for free. He was sponsored by Alpine Bikes at the moment. Okay. It was the year after his Maxxis Rocky Mountain team had folded, so it kind of left him in a tough spot. So he was on Trek bikes and Alpine bikes with pot clothing. So he gave me all of his old pot clothing. Took me out on a trail bike, and he laughed his head off the entire way down the hill. Like, I remember him vividly behind me, laughing his head off. And I got to the bottom, and I was laughing too, because it was fun. And it was very funny. We got in the fire, I ripped a big skid, and I'm like, how was that? And he was just hysterical. Like, he couldn't speak. He couldn't speak for laughing. And he said, "I swear to God, Reece, I've never seen anything so wild in all of my life on a mountain bike." But he was like, "Holy shit, you were fast." And I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Mate, you're absolutely tapped." But just the bike was never in a straight line. Your feet were all over the place. He said it was just mental, like just that concept of a motocross bike. I'd get to the corner as fast as humanly possible and then realise I don't have a throttle and I'd be stuck, stuck in the corner with my feet out like this, fucking stomping out of the corner, I can imagine if there was GoPros around back then, it would have been absolute gold. So that was kind of it from that moment. He literally went home and said to my parents, like, "Your son is really good on a mountain bike. Like, if that's his first ever time at downhill, he has the one thing that you can't teach a kid, and that is just like the commitment and confidence in their ability. Like, he's not scared, and you'll never teach that into somebody. If you've got fear, downhill's absolutely not for you. And you can be the best technique in the world, but if you're scared of what you're doing, you're defeating it." So he told my parents, like, "I can do something with the rest. I can roll him in glitter and polish him up, but he's got the thing that I can't teach."
That's so cool, dude, on one ride as well.
It was literally, literally one ride. So at that time, he's like, "What are you doing? Like, are you leaving school?" And I said, "Yeah, this fucking school. They're trying to kick me out. Like, we should go somewhere else." And he was like, "Oh, there's a base mountain bike course in Galashiels." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, come and ride your bike for 2 days a week. The other 2 days you're in a classroom and you do gym as well. So you basically 2 days in the gym, 2 days out on the hill, and they're epic days on the hill too, like big long enduro rides and sectioning stuff." Andy Barlow was a coach. Rab Wardell, rest in peace, the big man. He was a really good coach. Mark Scott would pop up every now and then, but we had a really talented group of riders on that. And from that moment, from Rory saying you should go on base, fast forward to 2 years later, I was British champion with Taylor Vernon on one side and Laurie Greenland on the other.
Whoa.
Going, "Who the hell are these guys?" And everybody going, "Who the hell is this guy?" That was literally it. That was just an absolute baptism of fire. Like, came from nowhere. Yeah, literally was kind of getting. I tried to in that first year. I just couldn't face telling my dad that I was going to quit motocross. And deep down, I loved motocross, but mountain biking, Rory was like telling me the sort of money that these guys were making and traveling the world, and it was just not going to be possible for motocross, but it was the life I wanted to live. I knew I was going to be an athlete. I just knew it. Something inside me was like, I just don't feel like a normal job's for me. I need to use my body. You know, I can't just be using my mind. It doesn't really work like that. So yeah, do
you think you could have carried on with the moto stuff and made a
absolutely
career out of it? Yeah.
I think in hindsight, like I have the mindset to control and you know, the pressure makes diamonds. I clearly had the mindset in order to get it done. I just needed more time. Like motocross it starts so fast now. Kids are getting homeschooled at like 9, 10 years old, and all you do is ride motocross, just laps and laps and laps. And it's, by the time these kids are like 12, 13 years old, they've lived an entire professional career, basically, you know, and most of them are smoked, and it's a good reason why so many guys retire early out of that sport. And I was just a really slow developer. I was slow through puberty. I was slow through school. I was slow through developing the bravery that it took for a bike. I was just slower than everybody else. I was always smaller than everybody else. It took me a long time to actually mature into being a strong enough guy to throw a motocross bike around. Like time just wasn't on my side, but all of those things didn't matter in downhill. You could get away with being really small because a mountain bike was that much lighter. And to me, in fact, it was like so light coming from a motocross bike. It was like it was like a step backwards in performance. It was just, the thing felt completely out of control, but it was giving me the buzz of speed that motocross gave me. So
that's interesting. That was it. There's been a few, maybe not to the level that you've done it, but a lot of young people switch to downhill, and it just feels right. There's just something about it, you know. And I think, obviously, I didn't do that to your level, not by a long shot, but I remember first riding a mountain bike, like a downhill bike, and being like, because I grew up moto kid as well. Oh my God, I can go fast on this. And you're going faster than you probably would do if you'd only done downhill.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You've got that instant thing of like, like you said, running into turns or carrying a bit of speed. It's that bit that gets hard, I guess, like momentum, learning that.
That was it,
get out of trouble.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, mate, that's so interesting that Rory was the guy to see.
Oh, I mean, he literally, saw it instantly. So like cool. I say, it was like one run, and it dragged me around. It was a stupid Christmas or like Boxing Day ride, epic thing. It was like the fittest 30 guys in Innerleithen, you know, 15 of them professional enduro riders or whatever, and here's little Reece at the back, like absolutely dying. I remember them pushing me up, like 3 of them trying to push me up to the last climb. But I think that was, maybe he wouldn't admit it, but I think that was like an initiation of some sort as well. Like, okay, let's see if he's actually got the guts. Is he going to quit as well? And I didn't quit, obviously, but I wanted to, you know. It was like my legs were, I was toast. I was absolutely toast. But at the end of that ride, that was it. He was like, saw something in me, and thank God he did, you know, and massive thanks to him for pushing me and my parents in that direction, because if it wasn't for him and that crappy motorbike that he bought, I would never have been here. I would have went to just try and be a plumber, and I'd have probably just been one of those guys riding around at the Scottish Motocross Championships now. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, so
wow, that's
really cool.
Really cool.
Mad how life works.
How was your family with that switch? Because I think growing up doing that with your dad, it's a thing for them as well, isn't it? You know, going to motocross, camping, it's just like such a lifestyle for them as well. How was their reaction to you going down a different path?
You know, Mum was good. Mum was solid. She's always been really supportive with everything I do, and she kind of just said, you know, if you believe, if you can close your eyes and you can see yourself standing on a World Cup podium, then you've got it. You can do it. It is in there, you know. And these things happen for a reason. And you've bumped into Rory because of some crappy motorbike, and he's asked to take you out, and he's told you that you've got what it takes. So you're not being delusional as such. Obviously, at that point, I hadn't raced a single mountain bike race. So
when I
stumped back into school on Monday and told the teacher, I'm out of here and I'm going to be a professional athlete, they're like, well, right, good luck, son. You know, I'd never raced a race in my life. So, yeah, but Dad was cut up. He was devastated. Really, he knew. I think he saw what I had on a motocross bike, and for sure, as far as like style and technique went, I was maybe not the fastest. I had some really good races and some days when I was the fastest by a long stretch, but on average it averaged out to like a kind of third place guy in Scotland is kind of where I was sitting. So but my technique was insane, and I think he knew that had I had the time, and maybe we'd went to Belgium, and he would have done it with me. He would have done the full, like, fuck it, let's go to Belgium and we're going to do this, you know. He would have went for it, like super, super, super supportive parents. But Yeah, I think me deep down was like, honestly, I can't ask you to do that because my heart's not really in it now. I'd been racing from 6 years old to 16, so I'd done that 10 years
dude. Yeah, it's
of
a career.
every single weekend up and down the country, and then you arrive back at school on Monday and you're like dead, you know, and they're trying to ask you about, you know, the surface area of a cone, and I'm just like, this is... You know, I've just risked my life for 3 motos, like 40 of us lined up on a start line, racing for a metre. You're wrapped up in somebody's wheel, you know, with their tie around your neck. Like, you're fighting for your life, you know.
Yeah.
And you're asking me about algebra. It was just like, it just didn't work. It ruined me as a kid. It was just, all I wanted was adrenaline after that. So, yeah, downhill was the next best thing. There was adrenaline and there was money, and it was on the doorstep. It was so much more accessible.
Okay.
The base course was right there. It just, all the stars just aligned that year, and it was like, okay, I can see a path. There's actually a way to get to this without having to leave the country and spend eye-watering sums of money.
Yeah,
so,
and there's that as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I betted on myself. My parents said, "Yep, right, we'll give you 2 years of college, and we'll see what you can do with it." And like I say, at the end of that 2-year college degree, I was a British champion, and Tine was helping Rory at the time with Trek Junior Tools.
Okay.
And Rory just said, you need to take him to the World Cups next. And I went to the World Cups as a second-year junior and got 3 7th places. Wow. And then they gave me a contract for 2015, which was my first year elite, and I think I got a couple of top 25s in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was that from like, you know, 4 years previous, never touching a downhill bike, didn't even know what the sport was, to watching Sam Hill come flying past me at Leo Gang and me getting 25th was just like... You can imagine.
Yeah, mate. Well, I can't.
Yeah, world.
But yeah,
well,
I can try.
It's that unimaginable. You can imagine,
it's
if you know
a
what I
hell
mean.
of a
Like, it was
story,
just
mate.
stood there lost. Like, how's this happening? You know, and I
Yeah.
knew nothing about anything at that moment in time.
What was it like going from racing like localish national downhill in the UK to then going abroad? Like, how did you navigate all that? And you're young as well, dude. Like,
I think
still a young person.
Yeah, we were only 17, 18 years old. Like, I mean, luckily again, I had Rory. I got to travel with Rory because he was on the team. They basically said to my dad, like, give us like, I think it was like £3,000 or something. Give us £3,000. I got a Trek session, like full black box.
Okay.
It was sick.
Right,
you know, I got all my flights paid for. When I got to the races, I had a mechanic and I got to stay with Rory. So we would room share. It worked out really perfect. You know, it was ideal. But I think because I was so young and looked up to Rory so much that I was just watching him all the time, and whatever he done, I would do. I just copied it because I could tell instantly, like, my dad's a really, really popular guy in the Borders, and everybody's, all right, Ian, and he'd always take time to stop and talk to people, and Rory had that as well.
Okay.
He would always do a really good job of going around at the World Cups and seeing all of the people that helped him, that he would maybe need help from, you know, like, kept a really good social. So I just literally, like, he's like a wee boy holding on to his hand, you know, just walked me around and just introduced me to this entire sport, and done a really, really good job of taking me to all of the people and saying, this is Reece Wilson, I'm helping him out, this is da-da-da, and that set off my career in the sport, like, so good, you know.
Wow.
I don't know what it would have been, because it's so easy to get to that and get lost, like you say, just for it to swallow you up.
Yeah.
But it felt small to me because of that, because
Yeah.
he walked me around straight away, and by the second race, I'm walking around going, oh, that's Evan from SRAM, that's da-da-da, you know. And they're all waving at me, and they're all saying
cool,
hello.
man.
And
Did you find it a friendlier place, the moto?
really? Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah,
that.
really friendly.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
because you're not banging into each other. Like, you physically affect each other in a motocross race, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the plan, you know? If you're in second place and you've got 2 corners to go, you're pulling out the Barsha, you're absolutely doing it, you know? I had a few black flags in my time, and I remember being stood on a motocross race at Duns with a guy by the helmet, and we're both punching each other, like, you know, 15, 16 years old. And I'm not a fighter, but it gets emotional in motocross.
No
So
doubt.
yeah, coming to downhill, that was a part that probably hurt me, actually, initially, like, affected my friendships and what could have been, because
Okay.
my mindset was so moto that it was like, you guys, you know, I have to mentally beat all of you before I can physically beat you on the track. And it was like, I played those games in my head, and my dad was feeling it too. And it can still work in downhill as well. It was just, it's not, the downhill guys weren't like that.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of them, it was a bit like, you know, what a dick.
Kid.
What an absolute dick. Yeah, like, well, there's no need for that. But that was just 10 years.
Yeah.
It was installed in me. It wasn't something that I could just change. And it's actually still something that I need to work on and still try and work on. It's like, you don't need to be walking around hating people or trying to hate them, but it just makes competing against people a lot easier. It gives you that bit of motivation. So that's what motocross was. It was, you all on, all the dads kind of hated each other, the kids hated, you know, it was that's what it was.
Dude,
so
animosity, but like, look at him, he's got a new bike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And especially again, like when I started going to some downhill races and some 4x stuff, it was like this friendly environment. You're like, this feels alien to me.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Like, my kid's got a puncture. Oh, I'll give you a tube. And motocross, it's like, I'll strangle you with a tube, but I'm not giving you. You know, it was totally different.
So first year in junior, you did 1 year of junior.
I'd done 1 year of junior. It was my second. Technically, I would have done 2. I attempted to do the Scottish series. So my first year of junior would be doing the SDAs.
Right.
But I only done the first 3 where I was trying to race the Scottish Motocross Championship and the Scottish Downhill Championship. And it got to round 3 of both championships, and Dad was like, dude, I'm tapping out. Like, this is mental. You know, the travelling we're doing right now is just, I can't do it. I can't keep taking Fridays off work. Like, make a decision. So I went home after that race. I was at Killen. I think I got 3rd at the SDA. Went home and sat down and just had a good long hard look at myself in a mirror and was just like, right, okay, we need to make a decision here. What's it going to be? And thought, I can ride motocross. I enjoy riding motocross forever. I don't think I need to race it in order to enjoy it. Yeah. But I think I could enjoy racing downhill, and as Rory said, there's actually possibly a chance of making money in it. So from that moment onwards, sat my parents down and said, right, I'm giving downhill a go. Here's the plan. We're going to go to college for 2 years. If you can support me for that 2 years, we'll see at the end of that whether I can get sponsorship money for whatever, and that's what we'll do. So that first year of junior was spent at SDAs, but my second year was my first official year focusing on downhill and downhill only. Right, okay. And that was me at, what would that be, 17, 18 years old. So I done the British Championship that year, and that was my second year junior.
So when did it become, we can skip forward or whatever, but when does it become a full-time job?
It was a full-time job from that point onwards. I never done anything else. Like, we were at college just going to the gym and riding 2 days a week. It felt to me like I was doing as much. I was almost doing more then than I do now. Because you're so young and it's all so exciting and it's so fun, and there's all of these new bike. Like, I didn't have a BMX. I'd never heard of dirt jumps. I didn't do XC training. It was just all I knew at that point was a downhill mountain bike. I had all of these other genres to go and unlock as well. So there was just so much happening and so much bike riding, and I was still into scooters at the time. I was still riding motocross with Dad a lot as like training. So I was just flat out, and to me it felt full time from that moment on. But really, I didn't start making money until 2017. Eddie paid me $5,000 and I spent it all in 1 month in Queenstown. Should never have left uni Earth in hindsight, but at the same time it was the funnest year of my life. Really, I got to meet some of the sickest people, spent a month in Queenstown, wouldn't take it back for the world. Massive thanks to Eddie for that. Bergamont kind of folded really last minute. So that left me in 2018, pretty much had a sob story with my dad in the van, crying, like, can't get a ride.
What was the results looking like at that point?
I was 11th place at Fort William on the Bergamont. That was the year that 29ers had first came out. It was like we were the first guys pretty much on 29ers. It was us in Santa Cruz. And I loved the bike, really loved the bike. Kind of really enjoyed the team. We were having a really, really good time. We were having such a laugh. But just average results because I was just partying. I was just enjoying it so much. Like, I was just having a gap year. And I didn't really think about the consequences of having a year of kind of dropping off the radar. Momentum was really building. Momentum was building good. 2015, I went to Hardline. In my opinion, Rory won it. I could have won it as well, and he knew that. We were both pretty damn close. Like, I was going down there to win it. And I crashed and snapped my shifter off. So 2015, my momentum was on my side. Got hurt in 16, got a couple of concussions, AC separation. So that season kind of went a bit off. Then 17 went a bit off. So I was kind of, I was a 30th to 40th place guy, and nobody was interested. Tried my best, messaged everybody. Nobody's interested. So I started working for a guy called Paul Milne, who started a company called Bikescapes, building pump tracks. Does a lot of the Velo Solutions pump tracks in the UK.
So you just got a job?
Yeah, I just got a job helping him. He was starting his company, wanted some help, and I thought, well, it's a change from engineering with my dad. That's what I was going to be doing for the next 20 years of my life at that moment in time. So I thought, I'll take 6 weeks to build this pump track. Whilst I'm sat in Cardrona in a skid steer, helping Paul build the pump track, I got a message from Piche from the Commensal 100 at the time. So the team that Thomas Estac and Amaury Pirion was on in like 2017. Quite a small team, but they had Commensal bikes, 100% kit, Fox suspension, Maxxis tires. It was like an insanely good bike, and it was the bike at the time. And he phoned me and said, I have absolutely no money. If you can afford your own mechanic, if you can pay for a mechanic, I'll give you a ride on the team. I'll sort you out with kit, I'll sort you out with bikes. So had the conversation again, sat down with my parents, and we went, right, this is it.
Okay.
This is it this time.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we're done. We really are done. You have to think about something else. We can't. This is costing us money, you know. And
I was going to say, what does that actually look like? And you don't really have to get into the financials as such, but like no money, you have to pay for a mechanic. How do you put that together? How do you structure that?
So at that moment in time for me, Paul Milne was building pump tracks, and in between pump tracks, he wasn't doing a whole lot. So I literally opened the window when I got that message and jokingly said to Paul, hey Paul, you fancy going around the world and fixing bikes? And he like jokingly kind of paused and was like, yeah, I could do that. And I was like, would you do it for $3,000? Yeah, all right. And that was pretty much it.
No way.
Yeah, I replied back to Paul and Peach and said, yep, got a mechanic. We fully lied and said that he was like qualified World Cup mechanic. Never built a wheel before, nothing. Like, he had a saying, fake it till you make it. And that was a pair of us that year, just like, I was on this hell bent, like, I need to make this work.
Yeah.
Like, I need to make this work. And he's on this, like, I better not get caught. And we just had such a fun year. Me and Thomas Estat got on like a house on fire.
Really?
So honestly, not a whole lot of prep went into that. I managed to pay him the $3,000 that I made back when I sold the bike, sort of thing. And that was kind of it. The years previous to that, me and my parents done it in just like a motorhome basically, and it was anywhere between 25 and 35,000 you would spend on a full World Cup season. Like as a junior, we tried to hire motorhomes when we could at like Montsanan and Wyndham, but the travelling and the fuel and the flights, and it really does add. It adds up really, really fast, and that's where Tina and Grega back then were like a massive help for us, because they gave me kind of, and actually Ben Arnott, who was Trek World Racing at the time with Aaron Gwynn, Greg Williamson. Okay. He gave me a Trek, and he was helping me out with like some Shimano parts, and he would service some suspension for me. And honestly, all of the contacts that Rory got me in with, all those people helped me out. So there's so much helping in this sport, and you need it. You really, really do need it. Kids that don't have the family income behind them, they need that help, and it makes a massive difference. Getting a mech or a rim or a tyre, or because we turned up to Canada and Dad went to buy a tyre and he came back and was like, that was $130. So I basically raced 2 World Cups on one rear wheel, and he was putting the rear tyre up to like 35 psi. And he was like, you're not going lower than that, because if you get a flat, I'm not buying another tyre, you know. So like the whole it was less than ideal, but it was perfect for me at the time. And look at how it's worked out, you know. It's like those hardships when you get to the factory teams. In fact, I'd argue that junior kids now shouldn't be allowed to be on factory teams. Like you shouldn't be allowed that so soon, because then when you reach that, there's nowhere else to go at the moment. Okay. And I guess that leads me to our team and why I've started it, because that is, we want to try and find that next step. But at the time I was like, this is perfect. I was really happy, but we were struggling, you know. We were just getting by, and my parents were keeping me in check with the amount of money that it was costing, which I'm glad they were doing. It's not like they were just keeping the checks in the background. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here we are coming into year 2 and we're on 40,000. You're like, oh my God, how am I ever going to pay this back? Yeah. So no, that struggle is real, and again, I'm so thankful and so lucky that my parents grafted their asses off from a very young age. To put themselves in a financial position to have kids and be able to give us all the opportunities in the world. So that's really at the end of the day what it comes down to. So
it's amazing. Insane. Such a cool story, dude. So when did you sign for Trek Factory?
2019. They called me. So that 2018 season, that was it. This is the last hurrah. I went to Fort William and got 4th, stood in the podium. And that was, my world just rocked at that point. That was it. Yeah, that was it. I had all the team managers, you know, asking me what's happening next year. And I said, yeah, I'm on a 1-year contract. What have you been paid? Obviously lying to them, being like, oh, I'm paid like 40 grand. And they'd be like, yeah, sweet, no bother. And I'm like, oh my God. On the phone to Dad, like, you won't believe it, you know. Yeah, it's all going to go back to him. that puts me back to 0. I love it. No, it was... so
4th at Fort William is pretty much what shifted the entire
the whole
trajectory.
Thing off. But that whole year for me and Thomas Estat was insane. We were up making pancakes. I'd be on the hot stove 1 a.m, whipping up pancakes. He's on Fortnite just laughing at, you know, like, well, that was the situation. And waking up the next day and getting 2 top 10s like it was nothing, you know.
Working,
I got a couple of top 5 qualifiers. I got 4th at Fort William. I think I got 7th 7th at Val de Sol, maybe a top 10, a 7th or an 8th at Mont Saint Anne, which was Paul Milne was out in the pitch black with his phone torch and a bottle of beer outside the accommodation building a rear wheel. The first ever one that he had done. He was on YouTube.
Really?
He's like, I'm YouTube certified, bro. It'll be fine. So he sat with his phone propped up, building up a wheel, went round to Ben Arnott, and he kind of gave it a squeeze and was like, it feels all right. So here's me in my race run looking at my bike like, wheel looks pretty fresh. And Paul went, yeah, it's the one I built last night. And I looked over at him and he was like, trust me, it'll be good. I was like, right, okay then. Dropped into the race run and wheels absolutely meant. I'm pretty sure that bike was sold with a wheel on it. So yeah, we both just pulled our socks up and done what needed to be done that year. And it was that was obviously my year that the world was like, right, if you don't give up, you know, I kept going, and that was the one I was like, right, this time. And it all fell my way. I landed in the right group of people. It was a very low budget team. There was one transit van and a gazebo.
Right.
And we had one of my favourite years to date in downhill racing. And
That's
that led
amazing.
to being, Trek phoning me at Val de Sol at like July and saying, we're starting a factory race team and we want you to be on it. What's your number? And I'm just like,
Wow.
just insane. And that's it. That's been it for the last 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
Crazy.
It's a long time to be honest.
Really long time.
Really long time. So you signed for a factory team. 2020, obviously, is a huge year.
Yeah.
But a weird year. What was it like? Like COVID year, dude. It was. Didn't the races get pushed
All to the end.
all to the end of the year? Didn't they? Yeah. So
it was like a 6 or 8 week racing block with like 6 races in it.
that's
Six
right.
World Cup races.
Wow, it seems like such a long time ago.
Yeah.
Don't it? Well, I don't know if it does to you, but to me, it's like
Nah, it does.
it
It
feels
was.
like an
Yeah,
eternity
it was a
ago,
long time ago.
the
Yeah.
COVID years.
Yeah.
Very strange time. So yeah, how was it? What was it like being an athlete navigating that?
Oh, one of the best years ever. Like being in Scotland,
Yeah.
they phoned up saying, "Oh, this COVID stuff, racing's cancelled." And I'm looking out the window, like middle of summer, sun's blaring. There ain't no ambulances. The roads are dead. Perfect. Like I got on my bike, you know, off we went, and living in the most rural place ever, just out in the fields. You could go riding whenever you wanted, never see another person, never see a soul. So it was so easy for us to I just was out in the woods, building and riding trails for like 4 or 5 months straight throughout that summer. And then we got the call for the team and being like, right, they're going to do it. They're going to try and run a series. They're going to run at the end of the year. Masks, jabs, all of that sort of stuff. But if you're up for it, you can do it. Yeah, obviously. I'm up for it.
The first race was World Champs.
First race was Worlds, yeah. And
So you come into that, you've had an amazing time at home.
Yep.
Fitter than probably ever. Just riding all the time.
Yep.
Feeling good.
Yeah. Went to Schladming the weeks before, and Chris Kilmurray took some phone clips of me, and I posted them on Instagram, and it melted down Instagram, and people were messaging Chris being like, holy shit, he's going to be world champion. And Chris actually said to me in the car park, he was like, dude, this is like, do you feel good?
Do you feel it as well? Did
yeah.
you feel it?
Oh yeah, it was one of the few times in my career I was like, yeah, this is,
It's on.
yeah, I'm just gonna go and do it. And the whole week just literally went like that, just another run, another one, gap this, gap that, and everybody's going, oh, you know, like that's what it felt like to me. And I'm just like, fuck, this is chill. And then crossed the line, world champion. It was so surreal because it happened so smoothly.
Really?
There was no like, I crashed, went off the track in qualifying and I think it was still like 32nd or something, but I think that knocked it's not just going to win. Because I was clearly the fastest guy, like that stump triple section.
Yes.
Out onto the motorway, that was the gnarliest section of track I think we've ever seen in a World Cup in like the last 5 to 6 years. Like it was proper, like one big massive route at an angle with a tiny little skinny rut, and you had to hit the route and let your bike get fully swapped in order to jump this triple. And like so many people couldn't do it and were crashing on it, and I'm pretty sure I jumped at first lap and then proceeded to jump at every lap since, and people were like, have you jumped the triple? And I was like, what triple? Like that type of thing. It was just happening.
Just clicking.
Just happening so easy. I wasn't even looking at the track. I was just riding laps of it and not worrying where I was going, and everybody else around me was losing their minds, you know. So to be sat at the finish line, it was one of those, it was surreal because it's like, oh my God, it's going to happen. With the career I've just explained up until that point, how am I even sat here with a chance of this happening? But then when it happened at the same time with how I felt on a bike, I thought, well, if it wasn't going to happen this weekend, it was never going to happen, because I've never felt as good on a bike in my life. You know, it was an extension of me. I wasn't changing any clickers, just leaving everything, run it as you brung it, same bike at every race. It was just super easy, super simple, just so simplified.
Do you ride the same like race bike through the week then as well, or is it different?
Now, we normally have home bikes,
Okay.
and then you would have race bikes, and it's actually the one thing that really bothered me. I think all pro cyclists, I don't know if in road world, but definitely motorcycles, you get a motorcycle and a mountain bike goes through a level of fatigue after a few months of riding, and it softens up.
Yeah.
And you feel that. You really can feel it. A pro can jump on it. Me and Loris used to really, really struggle.
Right.
You'd ride a home bike, which is 6 months old. And then you'd come to a World Cup and you'd ride a brand new bike, because they'd paint us bikes every single round. So you'd get new forks, new cranks, new shock, new frame.
Right.
It was a brand new bike every single week, and you could only put 6 runs in on it before you were racing. And it felt alien. Every time you touched the bike, it felt alien.
Yeah.
And we actually we never had that at the start of Trek, because there were carbon frames. You got one bike, and it was kind of that would do you 3 or 4 races.
Okay.
And then once this everybody custom painting stuff kind of happened, you were getting new bikes every week, and it actually became really difficult to find
positive,
consistency.
really.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And a lot of times it wasn't. But fucking cool to have the coolest paint jobs.
Yeah, of course.
Instagram was loving it, and it was sick to have all the kit. But as far as a strict performance goes, it's not the best way of doing things. You're better being on a bike for at least half the season, maybe, if you can get away with it. But
yeah, that makes sense. I think for again, most people probably listening to this who are just ride at the weekends. You feel comfortable on your bike. As soon as you hop on something, even if it's a brand new one, it takes ages for it to feel.
It does. Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. So what was it? I mean, I don't want to just gloss over this because we're going to do a quick ad break. Mate, this one is the easiest ad read that we do. We're just going to speak from the heart. WORX have been a sponsor of ours for years, and we've both used the majority of the tools at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, I've really sort of redone my house with WORX tools.
Yeah, I've got a plethora.
I bought in mine.
Show and tell.
This is you what? Sorry, yeah, it's show and tell. Exactly. So this is my Hydra Shot, and I bought it in because I wanted to do show and tell and talk about the things that I really love about it.
Please,
is that okay?
I'd love for you to do that, please.
So basically, one of the key things beyond the actual function of this, which we'll get into in a second, it's the fact that it's part of the power share system. Now, every single power tool I own, and whether that's garden, home, DIY, my chainsaw, trail building. I've got 2 chainsaws. Ooh. I need to actually keep my voice down, otherwise WORX will hear and they'll stop sending me anything. I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
But this power share, this goes in everything I own. So I can't tell you how easy that makes life. Yeah, I've 100%. Always got something charged up. I'm not the most dialed with like having a set up charging area. So it's always good to know that you've always got batteries.
Yep. True.
Pop it in here in a waterproof case.
Nice. There it is.
And you're off to the races. Now, this I use attached to my hose.
Yep.
But previously, I've used it with the hose connection that goes into a water source. So you can do it from a bucket or a river. So you can have it in the back of your van.
Yeah.
To clean your bike.
Yeah. Super handy. Portable, of course. Like I've done that before. I've finished a ride. I've been parked near a water source, whether it's a puddle or even actually taking water in
Portaloo.
a 25-litre drum.
I saw Davey once pressure
wash the blue wash down. I dipped it into my bucket that I'd taken.
Yeah.
Wash the bike in the back of the van. Dry when you get home. Sometimes I even use my WORX leaf blower.
No, you don't.
To dry a bike.
I don't have a leaf blower.
Gangster.
I best get on the emails. I'm going to get a leaf blower on the go.
But yeah, love this brand. Love the tools. Super easy. I mean, the Hydra Shot's become a MTB must, hasn't it?
I mean, it really has.
If you don't own one, you may as well not have a bike.
Yeah, your bike's really going to end up landfill.
Yeah, basically yeah.
This is actually the nitro version as well. So this is more powerful.
Some extra beans.
It's got this like adjustable head, so you can adjust like the spray. We don't need to tell you what a pressure washer does. This does what a pressure washer does, but I can't tell you how good it is and how easy it's made my life. And I've been using it for so long. This is literally the easiest advert to do.
It's so good.
Before I had a hose fitting on my house.
Yep.
I used to live in a flat.
Yep. I
used to wheel the bikes into the flat. It was so annoying having muddy bikes. It just meant I had a muddy house. I got this. It literally changed my life. I'm not even joking. I could wash my bikes and I didn't have to live in a pigsty. And then I could get a girlfriend.
Dude,
And look at us now.
This jet wash has changed your entire life.
Yeah, it's meant that I can actually have a partner in life. I'm not just on my own with a muddy house.
I mean, what an endorsement.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is mind-blowing.
What's even better than that? So people can get a partner, change their life, and save 15%.
How much?
15%, dude.
I
Say
mean,
it again.
the fact, 15%, you're serious. I mean, the fact that they offer this product to general public as something you can just buy is ridiculous enough. And now we're offering it for 15% less.
Mate, you'll never see a single mountain biker again.
I mean, I kind of want to keep it secret a little bit. That's why I was a bit, it's the only downer about doing these ads. I wanted to keep it a bit secret. I don't want everyone to have the secret to my success in life. All right, maybe we're going overboard. We actually, do you know what? It's a product we don't really need to. The Hydra Shot is absolutely unbelievable. And you say we get 15% off. How do we get 15% off?
Head to WORX.com, enter the promo code The Ride Companion. It's on screen right now. The promo code is flashing black and orange. The Ride Companion at WORX.com. Change your life.
The Ride Companion at WORX.com.
Yeah, easy as that.
Seems easy.
Is easy.
Change your life too. Thanks, WORX.
Cheers, WORX. What an ad break. Unbelievable. Once again.
Buy
Knocked
it.
Out of the park. Buy it. No, you don't. All right. So I definitely just don't want to like gloss over becoming world champion, dude. Like, don't want to gloss over it. So, I mean, the story up to this point is fascinating. You know, all the hardship, all of the, all the hustle to get to where you are. You talked about the day you were clicking. Everything was feeling right. You crossed the line. You're world champion. What are those next 48 hours like?
Phone calls.
A lot of phone calls.
A lot of phone calls.
What, fighting off money?
Yeah, it's a bit of a, it's a good story, and I'll say it because it's not with time passing under the bridge. Water's passed under the bridge now. I think it's all good, and I understand it's business is business. But my 2019 season wasn't great, and I was kind of the flagship, or supposed to be the flagship for Trek. That was kind of how it was sold to me on the phone when I first signed. Charlie Harrison actually turned up kind of out of the blue and smashed it. Like, to me, I didn't really know the guy, but 2019 third place at the first round, like, he got us rolling good. And then the whole team, I had moments, but I had gotten injured in Red Bull Hardline in 2018, had a grade 5 AC separation, had to get surgery that winter.
Oh,
so I came into 2019 like just not really firing, whole new bike, tires, wheels, brakes, whole new surroundings, the whole like overwhelming emotion of factory team, you know, you're one of the guys now, the expectation started coming out, and I could feel it, and it took me a while to get through it. So coming into 2020, I'd kind of gotten through that sort of stuff, but there was no racing. So Trek, where my contract was 1+1, so 2020 was the end of my year. I was in a contract year, and I knew that. And I shot an email about halfway through the year and was like, can we discuss my contract? Like, I'm really happy here. I want to stay. Like, I just want to re-sign for what I've signed for. Mm-hmm. And they basically kind of was met with deaf ears, like no reply. So I was like, right, that's interesting. And then I tried again, no reply. So I messaged somebody else through Trek and was like, can you just tell me why I'm not getting any response here? Like, I've obviously not got the results that you were expecting, but maybe we could just sign for less. Like, I was on good money anyway, so I'm okay to take a drop. Like, my results maybe, no, he's basically just waiting to see what you do at World Champs.
Wow.
So I was like, right, okay, so now I need to go and look for a job. So the weeks leading up to World Championships, I actually tested the Prime bikes in Schladming the week before Worlds. Yeah. Really good bike, actually. I was like, this is pretty sick. The guy was talking big talk. He was willing to pay big money, and he wanted to have a World Cup team, and he wanted me to be on it. I was reaching out to a few other teams, and I didn't really have anything locked in. Anyway, turned up to World Champs that week, like I said, just happened. World champion. So walking through the pits after that, every manager ever, like, every brand, you don't realise
that actually happens. Like,
absolutely, instantaneously that happens. You know, managers and people, some people that have never even spoke to you before, coming up to you like, now the sun shines out your bum, as they say. You know, it's like, and I saw it. I was mature enough, and my dad had warned me about this. Like, everybody will want a piece of you when you're doing well, and when you're not doing well, you'll be dropped like a stone, and you need to be prepared for that. And remember, when you're being dropped like a stone, the ones that are still there for you, sort of thing. So. Yeah. I kind of viewed my situation as a bit like that. Like, wow, you guys don't see value in me because I've had one kind of average year, but like I was good in 2018. Like, you know, I've got it in me, sort of thing. So that lit an absolute fire in me that week. I was like, I'm gonna show you guys. Like, I'll show you guys what you're missing out on. So that energy just worked, you know. And the guy at Trek kind of said, like, you know, I kind of done it on purpose. Like I knew pressure would make diamonds. And anyway, the hours after World Championships, for about 48 hours, I refused to take the call because I was pissed. You know, I was really angry on the phone because it was a bit like, you know, there you go. Like, if you had phoned me and had a conversation with me one-on-one, I'd have told you that I was going to do that. Like, I was feeling good. But you didn't believe in me. So put that meme. Some people don't believe in us. And I was kind of pissed. And like I said, that motocross background, like, kind of got that fucking dog in me, and I was really upset at that's how it went. But anyway, they basically were like, you know, world champion money after that. It was really good money. I loved the Trek. I loved the team. The team of people were absolutely amazing. The 2019, 20, 21 were the 3 best years of my life, traveling with Cade Edwards, Charlie Harrison, Celia, Ryan Gall, Andrew Shandro, Ethan was there, Shandro. Like, the laughter was ridiculous. I didn't even have to train my abs because I just laughed. You know, it was like, it was that good. You know, it was perfect. So, yeah, eventually I phoned him and sucked it up a little bit and was like, yeah, okay, I do want to stay here. I really like it. So I ended up signing what was just a dream contract, like a go home and sit for a month just staring at the wall like, oh my God, this is crazy type of deal. And then of course all the videos and podcasts and news articles and like, it got pretty hectic seeing all that, and being the only guy in Scotland to have won an elite world title was one thing that was massive. And then I didn't realise, but I was the only guy at the time for Trek World Racing to have an elite world title for the elite male on their bikes, which is insane. I had no idea. With all the years they'd been racing, they'd never done it. And of course Aaron Gwynn's like tried for so long and should have won multiple,
but never got it.
And then Loris went on to do it again as well. So we're the only 2 guys to have won an elite world championship in the male category for Trek. So pretty insane. So my world just kind of blew up from that point onwards. And honestly, in all honesty, it only really went downhill after 21. The momentum carried all the way through into 21. I was
going to ask you about the next race.
Yeah. That was the next race was insane. Maribor. Pissing rain. One qualifying by like 3.5 seconds or something. It was like the biggest margin.
Was that the gold bike?
No, that was the next gain year.
Okay,
yeah, that was still I don't even know what bikes we had there. I think it was still the old session, the like not single pivot, but like it was single pivot, but the low no high pivot sort of thing.
Yeah.
The old carbon session. Absolutely loved that bike. We all did. That was an amazing bike. But anyway, crashed my brains out in practice, and missed the race and went on to miss the rest of the season, which was a bummer because that was how I was riding. That could have been. In my mind, the one that got away, you know. But luckily,
you already locked the contract in though.
Eh?
We were contract.
Contract was in. Yeah. We were good. I was in the car park of Maribor, and I thought I better not let it run past this race. Like, I better do it whilst we're hot. So yeah, I think on like practice day or something morning, I got the contract dialed in and said, yeah, I'll sign it. I'll do that. Luckily. No, honestly, they looked after me well. Through that 2021 season was amazing. Won my first World Cup, got 5th overall in the World Cup standings. Probably could have went back to back if I hadn't bent my chain ring and chain come off at the last one. It was again another one that in my mind got away. Could have won my opinion, the
heartbreaking race to watch that one.
It really is,
that pedal section and you tucked up, you just like, oh.
I know, and then to lose it by like 1 second was just, that sucked. And then Val de Sol front tire blowing off at Worlds, like,
dude, just like.
That was another one for me. Yeah, drop. I don't think, because I didn't make it to the split, but I wasn't great at the top split. So the last split was quite kind of up into the woods, and then you had that whole section going down. And I swear to God, I just didn't brake. Like I was gonna die, or I was gonna win the race. But I never had the front tire blowing off in the program. It was either me crashing my brains out in that corner, or I was gonna win the race. And I went down that bottom section so damn fast. And when I crossed the line, I really wasn't that far back for having a tyre, not just flat, but off the rim. Yeah. And that's when I sat there for about an hour basically crying. Like, I think I was just about to win that.
Yeah.
And my front tyre blew off. So that was another one that got away. And it just kind of started, it snowballed from there. 22, it was either bikes things happening or physical things happening with injuries. And just couldn't get off the stop. I just couldn't get that momentum going again. And as I've now become to realise, you watch it back, the same as what's just happened to Jet Lawrence in the Supercross. It's what goes up must come down, and you're absolutely insane if you think you can just rise to the top and just be a winning guy for as long as you like until you quit. It doesn't work like that, and it'll never work like that. Amarie showed you that. Asa Vermette getting hurt, Jackson got hurt, Jordan got hurt. We all get hurt. It's not if, it's when. It's absolutely when. And those can come at shitty times, they can come at good times, but that's really what it was for me. Had to go through a couple of injuries and a couple of lows, and I feel like this is me now things are starting to go my way again, and life just feels like it's getting easy again, and things are just happening and falling into place without having to really overly massage it, which is normally, when I look back to my career previously, that's when things have been going nice, and smoothly again. So I feel like I'm due a bit of good luck now,
Sounds like it. Just going to go back slightly, because I really want to make sure we touch on this. 21, huge crash in Leger. The Flying Scotsman is born at that point, I feel like. Again, I'd love you just to talk a little bit about the days after that crash. Obviously, you got up from it. Peaks missing, got the bullet, get over the line, covered in mud, the bits missing off your bike, adrenaline's still going, but you managed to get to the bottom, man. So fair play. That's such an epic crash. What were the repercussions of that crash, especially in like the short term after, and then the long term? Because I feel like from the outside looking in, you probably struggled with that more than any other injury, would you say? Or
that's kind of when the head hit started. That was when the first one I had, when I was getting up from, it was like all those white, what they say, the white stars and circles are spiraling around in my head, and like you could hear the like an actual ring in your head, and I was absolutely out of it, but I didn't feel like anything was broken. I went down to the hospital, got an x-ray. She was like, "Oh, you broke your collarbone." I was like, "No, I've not. It's absolutely fine. It's not sore at all." And she was like, "Okay then." I said, "Yeah, it's fine, honestly." So might have broke my collarbone, but other than that, I was just rung my dome really, really bad. I went on that season, picked up. Obviously, if you watch the movie The Flying Scotsman, it tells you that whole storyline and how it went on from there. And I got back to winning a World Cup fair and square against Loic Bruni on a track that I should probably never win a World Cup on. I'm always the mud guy at that point.
It's a great. We'll put a link in the show description for anyone who hasn't seen The Flying Scotsman.
Yeah, it was an epic year, but that was definitely the realization to me of, and definitely a humbling moment of like, right, you can't just throw yourself down the hill every single time. There's a time and a place where there's going to be a race where, let's say I'm second in the overall, it's the final round of the year, and you can win it. You need to win the race. Fine. Well, that's worth jeopardising my life for, but just World Cup round 3 or whatever it was, halfway through the year, we're just getting going to make a decision like that. But again, I was hell-bent on winning the race. I thought this could be one of these Sam Hill, Sean Pree situations. I know it can, and I knew with how slow and everybody else was going across that grass, the momentum that I was carrying in, if I had made it over the jump and I was going to go grass, cross the main line, stay on the grass high, everybody else was slipping about in the mud. I was like, I'm going to make 3 seconds on that bottom section, easy. And I didn't really think I would lose it at the top. And I was about 3 or 4 when I got to that section. I genuinely think I could have done it. And that's the only reason why I risked it that much, because I thought this is going to be the coolest race in history if I pull this off, and it's worth doing it. And I just had that like, here we go, and fucking no chance, not even close, But then, like you say, The Flying Scotsman was born. The movie was absolutely insane. It was one of the sickest crashes ever. Didn't really get overly hurt. Positive things came from it. It would have been cool to win the race, but it was just as cool regardless. I remember after the race, leaving the finish area, and people's faces, like I've never seen a crowd of faces like shocked like that. Like everybody, the riders, like, A, how are you alive? And B, I'm standing there doing the salute. Like, I was aware of what I was doing. I was aware of how insane it would have been. And that's kind of why it was worth jeopardising my health for. So it was insane. It was one of the best moments. Still one of the best races of my career. Worst ending ever, and one of the best races still today. Because it was just, the whole run itself was fucking sick. Like, just wild, man. Like, it was really good, That was a hell of a time.
Yeah, and then to come back and to win a World Cup is,
exactly. That was nice.
Am I right in thinking there was a point in the middle where you also had another crash on a photo shoot? which like put things back into perspective. Is that right?
Right enough, yeah. It was me, Cade. I think it was just me and Cade. Maybe Charlie was there as well. We're at Lenzerheide. We're hanging out for 2 weeks, and we had to go and do a shoot for 100%. And that was the moment that I crashed, and I got back up from, and it was actually okay. And that was the clicking moment for the rest of the season, where I could put the Leger behind me, and I thought, you know what, you're actually okay. Stop overthinking. You're imagining this injury into life rather than just ignoring it and cracking on like you would when you were 10 years old, you know. So I had another crash and thought I'd really hurt myself, and then woke up the next day in the morning and just sitting eating my breakfast, and Cade was like, "Oh, you all right?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, actually, I am all right. I'm fine." And then it started. The momentum picked up again. I was like, "Yeah, right, we're fine. Stop worrying about it," you know. And I got going again, and ended that season really, really strong. And one of the funnest and best seasons I've ever had was 21, and that was kind of the end of the good stuff. You know,
really,
it kind of started getting difficult after that. Yeah.
Okay. In what way? Why did it get more difficult?
I think the
22. So 2022. Sorry. First round. I've got notes. Lord's 7th, Fort William 17th, and then in 22 you took a break.
Yeah, that's when it started. So one of the best starts to the year I'd ever had result-wise. I'd never really been. I think 12th was my best up until that point. So really solid start to the year, and it wasn't my best run either. So I thought it was perfect. We're on easy top 5 pace again. This is going to be a good year. Fort William, can't really remember what happened at Fort William. I think I just struggled with. No, it was before Fort William. I raced Fort William, concussed out my absolute dome, like walking around the pits. I remember my mum actually being really quite worried because I was almost crying, which is just I never really do, but when I win races I always seem to cry. I put my body armor, I'm trying to work on that. I had my body armor on, I'm walking around the pits like, where is my body armor, you know, like really upset, like who has got my body armor, somebody's moved my body armor, you know, like stomping around. And Mum stopped me and was like, "Reece, are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm serious." And she was like, "You're wearing it." I was like, "Oh, I can't remember putting that on," you know, like oblivious to it, you know, and a lot of things like that happening.
Where was that from? The concussion?
That was from Innisleithen, 2 weeks before Fort William World Cup, maybe even only a week. Me and my mechanic Joe went to practice, and I had the biggest crash I think I've had on a mountain bike at that time. And I couldn't remember. I remember the whole crash, but it was like I was a cloud inside my brain, and my body was just rattling down the hill. So I don't know if there's a form of being knocked out where you're aware but you're numb. And that's what it was like. So did I hit my spine? Did I tweak my neck? I really don't know. But because I got up and I was physically okay, I was cut but I had no broken bones. Well, you kind of just carry on. And I was oblivious to head injuries at that point.
Right.
So went down, said to Joe, I just had a huge one, like I should not be okay. And he was like, "Well, if you're all right, do you want to just maybe do another run? Like it sucks to leave it on a crash." So I'm pretty sure I went up and done another cruisy little lap down and left it at that. Turned up to Fort William World Cup and tried my absolute best. Like thought I was doing really good and was 22nd. And you know, after how that first round had went, I think me and the whole team were like, "Well, what just happened here? Like, what's happened? You know, it's your home race. You love this place. You go well. You looked fine. You just looked like you weren't trying." And I was like, I was trying. You know, it's like my riding style looks really smooth and easy, so it's very difficult to tell if I'm trying or if I'm not. So Andrew's shouting at me basically like, "Dude, try harder." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying. Like this track is coming at me like a scene out of Star Wars. You know, like stars are just like." I felt like I was going as fast as I possibly could, and I was 22nd. Then we went out to Schladming again, and another crash just out of the blue, landed on a braking bump, hand dropped off the handlebar, was like wrapped over the stem and went off a berm like a jump and basically down a cliff. And there was a rider behind me who was actually in tears when I stopped rolling and was up against a tree, because he thought I'd died. Like the cliff was,
no way. It
was really, really bad. And that, like when I got up from that, you know, my body, I was just like, I've never been in such a state in all my life. And I remember getting to the bottom of the hill and having uncontrollable emotion. Like I couldn't not stop crying. I just cried and cried and cried. And I phoned Ryan Gall, crying my eyes out. He was crying his eyes out. And I said, "Ryan, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just crashing and I've got no explanation for them. I'm upset all the time." Like, just
Who's
crazy.
Ryan Gall? Sorry.
He's... God, I hate to put a title to Ryan Gall, but Ryan Gall is like the man at Trek Factory Racing Downhill. Okay. He's the guy that sorts out, he's in the race shop, he sorts out all their frames, organises the paint and organising the parts. Doesn't really do travel and logistics, but as a racer, he was our guy. RG was the main man. We'd call him the team manager. He acted like the team owner. He was our point of contact for pretty much everything. So he's the guy.
Okay.
He's dad. Team dad.
Team dad.
I phoned him and he was just, he was crying his eyes out as well. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to have to do, but I need to stop riding my bike, because if I keep crashing like this, something serious is going to happen. And I can't feel it when it's happening. I'm just this bobblehead floating down the hill, and I can see my body. I can see it ragdoll, and I could take you to the track and tell you exactly where my body parts touched the ground and didn't feel a thing, and was getting up without any broken bones or anything like that. So how do you explain that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started the journey of people telling me I'm imagining it and everything's fine. And
Oh, really?
yeah. I mean, it's a concussion. You can't see from the outside. Even my parents are like, after 2 or 3 weeks, they're like, right, are you going to start doing something again? And I'm like, I feel like I can't. Like, honestly, I feel useless. My brain scrambled. My emotions are all over the place. It was an absolute mess. And then when you go on the internet, companies like the NFL, they try and hide all of that stuff. Like it's rugby teams are they don't want people to know how severe that is and how common it is and how many different ways that can happen to you.
Was this your first exposure to it as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'd had it as a kid. I had a really, really bad one as a kid. I had a crash on a start line, and somebody's fork leg on a motocross bike hit the back of my helmet, and I got up, finished the moto, and as soon as I came in and took my helmet off, I just like fell asleep basically. And the paramedic was like, "Oh my God, hospital right now, like, or he could die."
I think there was this shift as well, especially when you're younger, and even watching the sports that we probably watched, like X Games and stuff growing up, it was a badge of honour. It's like, he smashed his head and he's back doing his second run, and
the C word wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't
in X Games,
thing.
you know, they never said to Travis Buchanan when he got up, suffered a concussion. It was none of that.
Just like back out.
Exactly.
And you're like,
Yep. My parents were the same attitude. Get up and get on with it.
Yeah. I feel like hopefully it's shifting. I don't know. You're going to know way more.
I'd definitely like to think I've played a part in that. There's a lot more moto helmets out there. There's a lot of people moving to what they think are the safer helmets. There's a few companies on Instagram now popping up of like concussion awareness. Obviously the HIT device, the company that I've started working with, Head Impact Trauma from Edinburgh. They've got a really, really cool device that our whole team at Aon will be adapting and using and developing going forward to try and get some sort of handle on what our heads are actually going through. Because we've realised with using this technology now that we can pull G's that are getting towards concussion territory just by impacts off of landings of jumps.
Yeah.
And you do that repeatedly, over a week, like hardline, just constant head slaps, you know, and it's the whiplash that's actually causing more of the damage than the impact.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff is super
like
interesting.
Jet skiing is like one of the worst.
True,
because of the constant moving.
Yeah.
And you can see it as well in Supercross or motocross or anything like that. And downhill obviously seems to stand out as one of those sports that's going to be affected.
Yeah. And I mean, training for downhill is only really maybe become a new thing. You know, the Steve P era and stuff. It was still kind of drink pints and just ride a bike, but training's getting new. And obviously, people train your back, you train your shoulders. But now people are like, wait a minute, we actually need to train our necks, because you take an equivalation the size of a helmet, put a whole load of mud on it if it's wet, and stick a GoPro on it, and put your goggles on it. It's a lot of extra weight for your head to be thrown around, so you need to take that into consideration and train that as well. And if anybody's had a big crash and whipped their head, you know for a fact the first thing that sores your neck, and it goes straight into your shoulders. Like, you need to have a strong neck in order to hold that all up. And that 2022 season led to me being like looking at my helmet and looking at the average speed that the sport was now at, and it was obvious we're doing an average of 30 miles an hour. It's the same as all motocross tracks pretty much in MXGP. Like, you would never put a trail helmet on a 450 and go and race a motocross race. You know, you just wouldn't.
No.
So my dad said it from day one. He was like, why on earth are you wearing a mountain bike helmet? Like, put a motocross one on, you know? So that honestly turned my whole world upside down, and it definitely affected my relationships at Trek, because I started being awkward, as you would say. And I knew I was doing it, but it's my head, you know, and I can't put a price on it.
What was
I've
your
only
process
got one.
like to recover from that? What were you doing to recover from concussion? Or
I had an old friend called Chris Wallers from our Borders College course, and he and his mum have a bit of a practice where they have some really, it's terrible of me, I can't remember the name of it. I can maybe send it to you. You can link it below. But they had an infrared head device that basically you put on your head. They could scan you first of all, so they could put all these little nodes on your head, and they'd make you watch things on a screen, and they could see how your brain functions. So they can tell the difference between a smoker, you know, a PlayStation game player or whatever else, and they can see what parts are overactive, what parts are maybe quiet and dead, and they can draw a bit of a map as to what's maybe causing it. It's still not 100% accuracy, because as we're finding out now, there's so much more that affects brain performance than just a bruise as such. You know, you can have a big bruise on your leg, but it still works the same. Yeah, so it's defining whether that bruise has actually caused damage to the brain, or is it just a surface. You know, it's really, really difficult, and they did admit that science is still really needing to catch up as far as sport and head injuries go. So that kind of also inspired me to be like, okay, then we can help with this, you know, we can do this. And that's how the hit thing came about as well. So anyway, they had this like infrared cap kind of thing that you would put on, and it had 2 pegs that went up your nose, and it would just like give you infrared light basically into your brain. So I'd use that every other day, eating the right fats, making sure your diet's really good, staying off your phone, and sitting in a dark room really is about all you could do, and you just had to wait really. And then the really tricky part is where it changes from physical to mental. It's like, am I actually now just imagining these symptoms because I've had them for 2 months? Is it just a habit now that I've gotten into? Now I'm going, my head normally gets sore at about 3 o'clock, and now my head's sore. You know, I started, and that's when I think, you know, you're coming out of it, because you're like, well, oh, wait a minute, like, I'm actually okay. And eventually, by the end of that season, I came through the other side, but
it's time, innit?
No, miserable year, missing it, just sat at home, missing all of it, and the momentum I'd had in 2021, how well I'd started that season. What coulda, shoulda, woulda once again, you know. I feel like it was another one that got taken away from me. Were
you one of those people that would sit and watch races, or you just avoid it all?
Avoid it all costs. Yeah, absolutely couldn't do it, especially when I knew I was in a position to win it, and I couldn't really watch TV and stuff anyways. I didn't really want to, so yeah, I avoided all of it. I became pretty sour actually that year. I was a grumpy man.
Yeah. Obviously 2023, we'll skip through this, but
injured again.
Yeah,
shattered up. A shark might as well have bit my right leg off for the knee down, in all honesty. Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. Really, really bad. So had surgery over in California, came home, and then found out my heel was shattered into a million pieces as well as my big toe, and it was too late to have surgery. So basically, if anybody's injured a heel out there, it is the worst thing you could possibly do. I've dislocated a hip, I've done both ACLs, MCLs, meniscus, I've shattered both ankles, I've done everything, but this heel is the worst thing I could possibly wish on a man.
Really?
Honestly, it's awful. It's every single day pain, all day pretty much. It aches all the time. It sucks. So that's kind of where we're at now. It still sucks. I'm trying to stretch it out as much as possible still. Bone with fractures that big, and how much bone healing there was to do, the age I'm at, it's going to be a slower process.
Yeah.
So I could look to probably 3 years maybe until it's like solid again to what it should be. So there's still moments now where it does hurt. Yeah. But we're managing. I mean, we're second place at Ludenville. You know, it doesn't hold me back. Like, it's once the adrenaline's pumping, I'm fine. I don't really feel it. It's the days after, and the days in between, and managing training and stuff like that. So
there's a fine balance too. I mean, I guess it's no secret you got hurt riding a motocross bike.
Yeah,
it's not a secret. But there's this fine balance of training. Moto is such a great cross-training tool. So many riders use it. You only have to look at the off-season now, how many people are racing moto and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know, man. I guess that people might be quick to jump on it and be like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. But it's such a good cross-training tool, and it's a dangerous sport. Downhill is, moto is. Like, how do you...
Man, there's nothing more dangerous than driving your car down a motorway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
true.
let's be real. Like, everything's dangerous, and you can be one of those people that wrap yourself up in bubble wrap and just avoid danger at all costs. Life's miserable when you do that, and that's how I've always viewed it and felt.
Yeah.
I get a thrill from riding motocross that is unmatched from any other sport, drug, activity, anything in life. I ain't gonna miss out on that just because I might get hurt. I done it for 10 years and never got hurt.
Yeah,
you know, I started racing downhill, dislocated hip, blown ACL, shattered shoulder. Like, the injuries just never stopped coming. Downhill was way more dangerous than motocross. So those people are just looking at a way, I think, to get to athletes, because You can't. It's too easy to say that from the outside. Yeah, well, you shouldn't do that. It's like, we shouldn't do a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
But we do. It just is. But it is. You're absolutely right. It's the best training you could possibly do. But it is the most high risk training that you can do. We've all my friends have started nicknaming it murder cross now, because it's like that's what it feels like. Every time you go on your phone, there's somebody trying to get murdered by a motocross bike. It's like they are savage. And as
I've
well,
been second guessing it, man. I'm like, every time around January, Supercross kicks off, I'm like, I'm buying a motocross bike. I'm doing it. And then, you know, I'm a little older. We've got a business, we've got things. And now I'm just like, I don't know if I can be doing with a broken bone or whatever these days. I don't know, man. But I need to take some of your wisdom there. Everything's dangerous, dude. And like, if you love it, you love it. And you shouldn't not do it, you know.
Absolutely.
You don't regret a crash in a way, do you?
No, I've never regretted any of mine. Yeah, it's just such as. It's life. It's a story. It's something to look back on. You'll learn something from it. It is, exactly. And I mean, that's just people in life in a nutshell. Like you can't be so arrogant to believe that you'll be here tomorrow. You know, you could walk out that door tomorrow and a slate fall off your roof and dunk you on the head, and that's enough to do it. You know, people have died in weirder ways.
True.
It's actually nuts that we all walk around here planning 10, 15, 20 years down the line. That time's not set. You have no idea if you'll make it to that or not. No. So if I wake up on a Saturday morning, the sand track is looking absolutely prime and the weather's on, you fucking bet you I'm there, because I might not be here on Monday, you know. And my dad's lived like that. Our whole family lives like that. It's like, today might be your last, so don't regret it. Just go and do it, you know. Accept the responsibility for what if and just go and do it anyway. So
I'm with you, man. I need to take more of that, though. You know what I mean? I do. I need to take more of that. I'm not taking risks, but like, I don't know. It's changed a little bit over the last.
No, I can see it. It is.
You know?
It is. You need to be responsible. You got other people, especially for people that have mortgages, and then you get kids. And Dakota touched on a lot of that. The difference between us trying to race a youth, a child, and trying to race another man that has a wife and a kid. It's a very, very different thing, and it's true, and it's kind of exactly what we've just said. It's a lot easier with a kid when you got ain't no worries.
I remember Teo sitting in that chair going, so he did an impression of Amory, I think, someone like that. I was like, yeah, I'm prepared to die today. He's like, I'm not. I don't want any of that.
I shouldn't be here.
I don't want any of that sauce.
It's true. Yeah, you have to be like that.
Before we get into the new team, because obviously I really want to talk about a new team. Super exciting. 2024 overview. Good year, bad year?
Average year.
Average year.
Very average year, but it was good to get myself built back up. I'd done exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to take it nice and slowly. I started off really strong at Fort William, which I was happy with. Went on a bit of a lull. Honestly, no idea what happened at Poland. That track should have been perfect for me. Yeah. The times were disgustingly tight, and I just wasn't fast enough. It was quite a bizarre race. It's been a while since I haven't made a final from straight up, just not going fast enough. So that was a bit wild. Dislocated my shoulder in Leogang, and then had to do my race run with the thing falling off, which sucked. Yeah. Salvaged 26, made some points. Had to miss Val de Sol. Great race at Mont Saint Anne, and got second at Ludenville. So a real up and down kind of all over the year. Proud of myself for muscling through and managing to do what I could do. But by no means a season to shout from the rooftops about. But it set me up enough to be able to do what I've wanted to do this year. It allowed me to show everybody that we're talking to that actually he's still got it. This is a worthy investment. We can do this. Yeah. Because up until that point, I didn't have much to rave about. You know, 22 and 23 is basically 2 entire seasons missed. So, average year.
Average year. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about Aon.
Perfect.
Olly's just nipped to the bathroom, so I thought I'd just have a quick HUEL break, which is actually the perfect segue into this ad. We are extremely excited to welcome HUEL to the podcast. If, like me, you end up running late, you don't have time for breakfast, and you just end up starving all the time, like I do. We've all been there, all right? You're racing around, you're trying to do meetings, you're doing school pickups, which I don't do. Whatever it is, you're going to need something delicious, easy, quick, nutritious to fill the void. So this podcast is now sponsored by HUEL, HUEL, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand with over 400 million meals sold worldwide. Yes, you heard it right. That's 400 million. HUEL is trusted by people just like you and me to fuel their days with convenient, complete nutrition. So you can now actually try it for yourself with our exclusive discount code. You can get 10. In fact, no, we're not doing 10. We're going to do 15% off with our code RIDE at HUEL.com. But I also want to tell you about my personal favourite, okay? Strawberry banana. My two favourite things. I love strawberries. I love bananas. You can't go wrong with putting them together. Plus adding 35 grams of protein. These things leave you feeling full, and you're not like scratching around for food in gas stations. You're not grabbing a quick fast food meal or whatever. You can actually tick that nutritional deficiency off with a good quality product. So yeah, this is my personal favorite. I also love the new black edition, the ready to drink. It's got another whopping 35 grams of protein, 27 different vitamins and minerals, and it all comes in one handy bottle. Basically, it tastes like milkshake, and who doesn't love milkshake? So that's 15% off with code RIDE at HUEL.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with HUEL. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. Biking. Cheers, HUEL. Back in. Great
Back
ad.
in.
That was a great ad, Doug. Don't know why I singled you out. Did you do it? I don't think you did do it. Yeah, can I get one of those? Is that okay? I love, mate, it's not an ad now, but I'd actually just... Have you had a Magic Mind yet?
I've not, no.
Mate, fire up. These things are insane.
We were just discussing it's the colour of green, so it's obviously healthy.
Yeah, it's so healthy. It's basically just a productivity drink, and it basically makes your brain like on.
Right, okay.
Trust me, it's weird. It's good.
I like it.
I'm a big fan.
A big shot or just a sipper?
No, the whole thing. Get it all down. Whack it back, they say.
It tastes good.
Actually does. It's all right, isn't it? Oh, you've been sarcastic.
No, I'm not. I swear on my life. It's
all right,
genuinely good.
It's
It's
like,
genuinely good.
It's tropical. It's quite nice. I'm a fan of it. It's
Wow,
just got
look,
loads
the
of good stuff
ingredients
into your
list has
brain.
got all the goods. Wow,
You should
okay.
scan it with the thing.
I think.
What's it called?
Yucca.
Yucca.
You think we should do that?
Yeah, if you want to. If you want to scan it with the Yucca real quick. Yeah. We're chilling. So you were talking about Yucca over dinner, and it tells you what's good and what's bad. Yucca, one of them.
Yeah, it's a dangerous app.
It's dangerous. Imagine if it's like...
Yucca doesn't know how to rate nutritional supplements.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
All right, we move on.
Anyway,
We move on. So,
the ingredients list is good. I know what those things are.
yeah, it's all brain stuff.
Buzzing. Right then, we're ready to
We're
chat.
fired up now, dude. We're ready to go. So, 2024 is a middling year.
Middle of the class, yeah.
Middle of the year. When do the discussions start about launching Aon?
Whew. Honestly, they started way back in 2020.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that phone call when I was like, nobody believes in me. Like, what's
Okay.
going on, you know? And when I thought at the moment in that time, that was the first time I'd had to really like choose a team. I was good enough to choose a team.
Yeah.
And I was looking around. I was like, well, there's quite a few French teams. There's basically no English teams. Is there the management is one thing, the bike's one thing, the kit and clothing. Like, there's a lot of things as an athlete that you want to be pretty perfect in order to go somewhere. And there's really, over the last 3 or 4 years, I've spent a lot of the time looking around going, right, okay, if I was going to move this year, where would I go? And I've always been keeping an eye on who's going where and what's moving, what managers are in charge of what. And I'd say about right at the start of this year, I knew I was in a contract year, and Paul said, right, what we're going to do, because if we're going to go for a contract, then let's start now, sort of thing, sooner the better. Especially after Fort William, it went pretty well. It looked like I was going to be back to where I should be. So we started at the start of this year, and I'd say by June or July, I was fairly committed in my head that we were going to do this. Like, we hadn't said yes,
Okay.
but I was pretty committed. So at that point, we started discussing, okay, if we're going to do this, who are we going to use and who do we need to talk to? So we had to obviously get introduced to Pascal, the Gamux, if you're European. Best bike, obviously, by the side of the track. Like, every rider ever would tell you, like, oh my God, when it comes past. So I had been doing the same thing for the last 3 years, going, I want a shot on that bike so bad. And we'd have discussions at night around the dinner table, and we'd be like, you know, right, out of any bike in the world, what could you ride? And it'd be the Gamux or Loic Bruni Specialized, like everybody, you know, that's the bikes I'd like to try.
Yeah.
So yeah, straight away I had to go straight to Gamux. Pascal was, I was met with open arms. You know, he was obviously, like, the fact I'd even considered him for the role he was super proud of that. I sat on the bike and was like, yes, this is it. It just went, like, became one with it, you know, and I thought, there's something about this. It's just something in my gut is saying yes. And me and Paul walked across the car park, and that was at Leger World Cup, walked across the car park from there, and they went, that's the one. I said, yeah, that's the one. That's who we're merging with. So,
excuse my ignorance. I watch the races. You know, I sort of know what's going on, especially in the pointy end of the field. But I wouldn't know who was on Gamux and why you say, like, a lot of riders want to ride that bike. Like, what is it about that bike that is so appealing?
I'd say the number one thing for a rider was, when it came past, was just its silence. Like, there's definitely something to be said for a noisy bike feeling rougher. And I think we've all probably been there. We've got something loose on your bike, and it drives you mad. You know, you're like halfway down the run going, what is this? You know? And you need to be 100% focused on what you're doing in downhill. And having anything like that you can hear, or sometimes it's just frequency for the frame as well that you can't really avoid. Just with the way modern frames are manufactured, just welding tubes together, they're basically like hollow cans. So if the terrain's quite rough and you've got your suspension set up quite stiff, you feel all of that and you hear all of it as well, and it drives you mad. So yeah, the Gamux just came past you on track, and it just sounded like so different, just like no regular bike noises. All you could hear was the tires, and every single rider just wants that. That's what you want out of a bike, is at least for it to be quiet. And then, of course, you start looking into the CNC process. So it's not welded tubes like a regular bicycle. It's made out of a solid block of aluminium. So it would start about the size of that table, probably about the same thickness as well. Yeah. They put it in, I think our ones are actually done on a 3-axis machine. You can get 5-axis as well, but they basically have it laid flat, machine one half of the frame, flip it over and machine the other half. And some of the benefits of that riding-wise are obviously just its dampening effects. I explained this on the Gypsy podcast. It's like filling up a can, having a full can of water and tap it with your van keys, and then empty it and now tap it with your van keys. That's the equivalent. It's like the full can is the CNC'd version. The empty can is like a welded up aluminium frame. Right. And there's a reason frames are made like that, and it's just because of it's cheap and easy, because manufacturers are mass producing frames. Like, we don't have to do that. We're not stuck in those boundaries. Okay. So CNC is a much better material. The Specialized has a massive CNC lump in the bottom of it, where the bottom bracket is. The whole chain stays CNC. Like, they use that for good reason. Yes, it might not last as long. You can crack it maybe a bit more frequently, but modern bikes now, they pretty much all crack our level. Like, we're all pushing them so hard that every manufacturer on a World Cup race weekend struggles with breaking bikes, and that's just natural because we're pushing the limit, you know. So that's probably the biggest thing you notice track side until before you get to ride it, is just that death sound that it makes, just a like everything's so quiet and it sounds so controlled, you know, as a frame. So yeah, I saw that. Every rider saw that, and everybody wanted it. You know, it's like
interesting.
Okay. It was the one place I had to go.
And what's their like background in this? How come they've come into downhill with this new take on? I mean, CNC frame is new, right?
I guess so. Yeah, I believe there was a company called Empire, but I think they used to cast them. I remember. I don't think they were machined, but I'm not 100% sure. So somebody will know that in the UK. But yeah, really, I don't know of any other frame that's completely CNC top to bottom. There will be ones out there. There's engineers making their own bikes all over the place now, but there's never been one at a World Cup circuit, head to toe, CNC'd, every single part made by one man in a shed. You know, it's like, that doesn't happen. Yeah. And that is Pascal Tinner. He's a Swiss downhill racer. Okay. Absolutely extraordinary guy. Just a single man who lives in CAD land, just running simulation over simulation over simulation, creating bikes that he likes, that he wants to ride based on theories that he believes in. And surprisingly to me, he's helped a lot of the current manufacturers out there design their bikes. He's actually been reached out by a lot of engineers, and a lot of the engineers do a lot of talking behind the scenes and share ideas and stuff like that. And I'll definitely be over Pascal's head this time. We're like, do we need to tell them that? You know, like. But up until this point, he's been mega helpful to a lot of people and a lot of other engineers. So right, I think that goes to show you the talent that he has, the skill that he has, and I mean the passion for it's there and some. And his talent for it is definitely there now. I'm beginning to, the more time I get to hang out with him and the more time I spend with him and his products, the more I realise how insanely talented he is.
Right.
Like, watch the air pressure. These are the settings, and you go and ride, and you're like, what? It's like perfect. You actually nailed it, you know?
Wow.
He's insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's really impressive. I've never had that in my career. Like, that's really, really special. And you could be stood there, and as of today, we could design a bike. He could run it through his simulations. He could get it made. He could get it built, and I could be on a completely new concept bike, billet machined in 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
And I've never had access to that ever at
no,
another.
no.
You know, the logistics of asking a big brand to do that for you, and there's no logo. What will we paint it? Like, all of these stupid marketing decisions that just racing doesn't have time for. We don't have time for that. And like we discussed in the van earlier, if somebody comes out with something 1 week, in 1 month we could have another 3 races. We could have 4 months in one race. So at the start of that month, they come up with an advantage. You're going to lose that advantage over 3 races, but it's only been a month's time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we need to be able to move really,
Fast.
really, really fast.
Okay.
And the bigger the manufacturer, the slower the ship.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. I feel like I've went from the Titanic, which is fantastic in so many ways because they don't have much of a fear of money. You're always going to get big sponsors. It's a massive worldwide brand. Like, there's a lot of positives to come from that, but one of its major downsides is it's really slow to steer. And we've now went to a speedboat where we've got one guy. I can phone him. We need this, and he's going, "Fuck yeah, we do." Straight into CAD land. I've made this. Should I print it? And that's it.
Yeah.
The process is done. You know.
That's super exciting.
Come over to Switzerland and we'll test it, and that's the job done. So that's pretty special. And I wouldn't have got that anywhere else, I don't think.
I was going to say, I mean, obviously, has that been a massive part of putting this together? If you couldn't work with Gamux, would you still be going on in your own?
Yeah, I was going to make my own frame on my dad. That was the original plan. I was going to weld up.
Full Nico.
Yep, I was going to weld up my own steel frame because you don't need a new bike every race. I was like, I'll just get enough sponsorship money to pay my wages and cover our traveling costs, which I thought that's totally doable. I could start a YouTube channel and get all that stuff going, and I could really do it and make it happen. So that was my original plan. I was really going to do it on myself.
Wow.
And then when I got together with Paul and stuff, and then second at Ludenville, and things really started to snowball, and then we thought, actually, no, let's do this proper. Let's make a whole team. Let's give other riders the opportunity to be on this as well, and not just yourself. Yeah. And then, the Dominic thing and Pascal with the Gamux came along, and luckily for me, because I think doing it myself, knowing what I know now, it would have been pretty bad. Like, would have had a top tube through my throat at some point, probably. You know, it wouldn't have been good. So I'm glad it's worked out the way it has.
Yeah, for sure, mate. There's so many elements of this though that I find fascinating about creating a team. Earliest discussions, what does it look like? Who do you sit down with? Where are you? Like, the program itself is really interesting to break down, I guess. I mean, we could go through it with various sponsors you've brought in, obviously, but yeah, I'd love for you to just try to explain that process. You keep mentioning Paul. Who's Paul? Like,
okay.
Let's just try and like really figure out how you've put this together.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's super exciting.
So initially it was me and Paul and April. So they're from Net Performance. Anybody that's been following me for a while know that they're an athlete management company. There is a lot more than that to me. Him and April, we've been really good friends. He kind of started this journey with Ben Cathro a good while ago now, maybe like 2018. And then I ended up winning World Championships about 2 weeks later. So Rory phoned me and was like, "Dude, you're going to need a manager. Like, your contracts are going to start getting pretty wild, and not everybody out there, you know, means what they say, sort of thing. Like, you're going to need somebody that knows that stuff," and he knew that stuff really well, the corporate world and contracts, and he had really good contacts, and
wow.
I'm really glad he did.
Yeah.
And now we have a fantastic relationship, and obviously he's done amazing things in the sport, and he's kind of turned it.
He's one of these people, I guess, you know, from going out to dinner last night, these people that people listening to this won't know about, that are behind the scenes, like you say, that are doing contract negotiations, that are putting deals together.
Absolutely.
All the stuff that if you want to just focus on racing, like, you need to really.
Yeah.
Bloody hard work to put together.
Absolutely,
really hard.
Some people are smart enough to read a contract or believe they're smart enough, and they'll get on absolutely fine, and you'll never run into any problems.
Yeah.
But there are ways to manipulate contracts to benefit you, and it doesn't necessarily make it worse for the other person, but it just gives you security and maybe ways to make extra money. And it's everything. It's not just sponsorship, it's partnerships. You know, it's like sponsorships are just trying to ask for stuff for free. You need to also provide them with something, and I think that's what a lot of people in mountain biking forget. It's not just a one-way street. You have to give a little bit in order to take.
Yeah.
And he's taught me a lot about that, and a lot about how the commercial world works, and that's really where we need this sport to go. So obviously when I started talking about all of this stuff, Paul was like, yeah, this is my wheelhouse now. Like, now we're talking, you know.
Okay.
I'm in. And I saw his face light up and was like, I know it's going to be hard. And the whole industry is going, you guys are stupid. Like, this is the worst possible idea you could possibly have at this moment in time. And we knew it ourselves. But when I closed my eyes at night, I could picture the whole thing. I could picture Aon, I pictured the tent, I pictured all the riders that I wanted in the tent. It was all there. So again, yeah, we're doing it. It's happening.
Yeah.
This can work. And he had the same thing. He was waking up at 4 a.m. like, I got an idea, you know, like straight on his laptop, emailing people. Like, he's worked so hard. So that was kind of management and our non-endemic sponsorship side. So that was an integral part of where we're going to get the money, who are our partners going to be, what aligns with us and our, engineering or whatever it is that we're going to go down the line of what partners can we take into that. So then it was management, which is actual management at the race. So a team manager, somebody that is going to be emailing the UCI, ESO, getting all of any changes that happens at a race day, obviously booking accommodation, travel logistics. There's a lot of that stuff involved. So I had been on Junior Tools, as we've discussed, through 14 to 16 and met Tini and Grega, who are two of the most straight up, like, organization freaks.
Really?
You know, like, honestly insane. And they do it in such a relaxed way. You know, sometimes you get somebody that's really organized and they're on edge, and they make you feel like, you know, they're worried about where things are, and they have tension
time
in them.
anxiety.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Tidy and time anxiety, where they're like a person like that whilst being like super chill, super happy. You always felt calm at the race. There was never any pressure from them. They were just there to do their job. If you were doing your job, everything's good. The rest will sort itself out. So I knew that with the changes happening this year with the World Cup, that their team would not be one of the teams. There's no way they were going to be a top 15. They didn't have the money to get into the top 15. Yeah. And they didn't have any riders of the caliber to get them into the top 15, and they couldn't afford to buy any. Right. So they were going to be gone. They were 100% struggling. And yeah, so I approached them and thought, you two guys are the best guys for the job. I really want you to be a part of this. Tini's contacts, the list is so extensive. Like, he's a madman. He really is. And he's worked so hard his whole life. Junior Tools, Center Pads, all of those companies. He's a massive guy behind those. So yeah, went to Grega, who's been the kind of team manager logistics for Junior Tools, and Tini is a bit of a team owner. Those two guys have multiple companies in Slovenia that they work together on, and they both massive smiles on their face, like, fuck yes, you know. I was like Willy Wonka with a golden ticket. It's like, here we go, you know, we're in. So it was as easy as that. Once everybody shook hands, we just got to work straight away. There was no discussion of
what time frame. When do you get to work?
Oh, this is probably... it's before Ludenville. I guess before Ludenville we had decided all of this. So before Ludenville we were locked in, like, these are our people. Okay. If we're going to do this, these are our guys. And they were all kind of waiting. Gamux had other opportunities, as you can imagine. They had other people knocking at the door, but they really liked the idea of what we had and what we wanted to do. So they were holding off. Ludenville happened. I remember massive cuddle with Paul, and he was like, we're fucking doing it. We're starting our own team. And I remember the moment we were both like, yes, come on. Like, let's do it. It's going to be worth it. We can do it. You know, and that was it. We went home from Ludenville, created a call, created a group chat, created emails, started working on, you need to have a website, you need to get a bank account, where we're going to launch the team, where's the team based, what is there benefits from having the team somewhere else, where are we going to have a HQ, what pits are we going to have, what vans can we use, where we're going to buy it. Like, that's when the stuff really starts getting going. There's hundreds of thousands of things that you don't consider. Then we, like, stuff like this, we've got to do a podcast. Last week we're like, shit, we've got no merch. Like, we've got nothing with team merch on it. I'm still wearing all my old Trek stuff. Like, so panic stations, like, quick, somebody get some t-shirts made. Like, just stuff like that. There's so many things that take so long to build up, and we've prioritized getting me on a bike as quick as possible and getting familiar with the bike, because at the end of the day, as long as I can be at a race with a mechanic, a toolbox and a van, I can do my job. The rest of it's like not marketing fluff by any means, but you know what I mean? It's that's not integral for me to do the job. So we've really focused on that part because it's important. So we're getting our riders together as quick as possible and getting everybody comfortable and happy. And luckily for us, not luckily because we've handpicked everybody that's on that team, but we've handpicked the selection like so well. It's like everybody's been together for 10 years.
Really,
Hattie and Monica got on amazing. They loved each other. I think they're going to be a really, really good duo on the track. Heather, really enjoyed being with Hattie. Hattie's a really good role model for Heather. Just having 2 or 3 years between them, they're relatable, but Hattie's like the professional, you know. She's so dialed with her training, really dialed with her eating, sleeping, absolutely everything. Monica's like closer to me, I'd say, a bit freer, but also knows her stuff, and our resume shows that. Stan Nisbet, little youth from Scotland who's just full of beans at the minute and basically just wants whatever I've got, which is cool. I remember being like that with Rory. It's exactly the same.
That's cool, you can do that, help out.
A history repeating itself with him. And then Henry Kerr, obviously 8th place at Montsanan at the end of the year. I've watched that man come past me on tracks. I don't know how he does what he does with the bravery. Like, he crashes so hard, so often. And I do believe that's because he's never had a bike that just works and suits him, and I believe we can fix that. And he already has been messaging me like, "Man, you're melting my mind with this bike." Like, he's in a really, really good place at the moment as well, and I think we all will be. So at the moment, honestly, it's just managing expectations. I know the whole world right now is going, "Oh, you guys are gonna win everything," and that's cool. And of course, we'd like to do that, but right now, that's absolutely not the goal. We need to get our ship out on its first adventure. We need to see what it needs. We need to see where the tie down loops need to be, you know, like where is everything? Like, we've got a lot to learn, and we've got a lot of puzzle pieces that need put in place still. So we're honestly just going to have a really fun year this year. There's going to be things that aren't perfect. We're going to need more budget, but we've got what we need, and the group of people are all willing to get stuck in and do what needs to be done. So that's kind of been it, honestly, from my side. It's like, it's been flat out. It has been stressful at moments, but it's all just happened, like, kind of really naturally for all of us. We've all gotten on really well, and the sponsors have all taken our ideas and been really stoked on it all, and it's come together relatively easy, I would like to say, for how bad the current economic.
It's not easy out there, dude. It's definitely
really
not easy out there. And obviously, from the outside looking in, I love that you've brought sponsors in that are out of industry, which, you know, that seems to be what the sport needs at the moment. It needs vehicle manufacturers and camper van companies and stuff like that see the vision, but also like the audience is exactly who they need to speak to. So it only makes sense, like, from a marketing side, right? It makes perfect sense. Oh, and also you've thrown a free rider in there, which will be out by this point. So that'll be announced.
Perfect. Of course.
That'll be announced.
Yeah, we've got Sam.
Sam on. Which is really cool.
He's a really cool guy, and the fact he wanted to be a part of it too, he was so chill, like, well, yeah, I'll do that. And like,
that's a good impression, dude.
Pascal's shitting himself because he's like, that bike's not really made for that. Like, I don't know if we should do this. And we're like, yeah, it's going to be great. His YouTube content's sick. Like, it's going to be so fun to have at the races. Like, he's such a funny guy. Yeah. And all the stories he was telling us about streaking at dinner and stuff last night, like, he's a really funny guy to have around. And I kind of wanted Cade, and Cade wasn't really available. Yeah. And Sam, not that he's the next best, but yes, when Paul mentioned Sam, I thought, I never even thought about that. That's a really good idea. I've always liked his content. He's a really well-loved guy, and he's like Freeride King. What he's doing with his new stuff and what he's got coming is really exciting. So we probably will venture and remain in the freeride side of things. There's a lot of really cool athletes out there, and I think it's a great platform to show what the extremes of our bikes can do. And I'd like to do hardlines at some point, so they go hand in hand. He can almost test our hardline bikes for us, and we can just rock up and race them. So it all works out pretty well with him as well. So
AON, what's it mean?
Anocht. Anocht.
It's not what I was expecting you to say at all.
That's a Gaelic.
Is it? Yeah.
Gaelic word for one or unity.
All right. So not all or nothing.
Not all or nothing. No, that was an abbreviation. We actually sat for a while going, now people are dirty minded. What can this be? And we're trying to come up with all of the things that were like really bad. And the only thing that we could come up with was all or nothing. We thought that's actually great. If that's how that ties in. Yeah. But no, it wasn't our second thought. Our initial thought was one in unity. So every team up until now, management will decide who the components are. who the team is sponsored by based on who's going to pay the most money. It's really quite black and white. And then you as a rider, you turn up, here's your stuff, get on with the job, which is great, and it does work. And sometimes you give people too many decisions and it can work against you. But for me, I thought, no, I think the best way to do it, and if it's managed correctly, it can be done where you sit the riders down and say, what do you guys want to use? Here's our options. We can send you all the parts and you all individually test them first, and then we just go to a voting system in the group chat. And it was that simple. So everybody gets to play their part in what components we use. Yeah. Unfortunately for the other riders, I had already determined and decided what I wanted on the bike. So that was that. I tested it at Fort William, had my mind blown across the side of the hillside and was like, yeah, this is just, of course, we need all of this. I'll have every single part on this. We messaged all of those companies and they all wanted to be a part of it. And the fact Pascal has been working with those companies since 2019, it means that bike is already won. It's not a frame that you then put the forks on. And it's not just a shock off a shelf that has to fit 100 different frames with all of these different leverage ratios and all the different progressions. If anybody's bought a universal doormat for their van, fits F all. You know, it just doesn't do anything right. It's like there's gaps everywhere. It's a bit creaked in the corner. That's what you're. That's what you're doing. That's what you're trying to do with a mountain bike right now. Fox can only make a shock that kind of works for certain bikes, and Fox, SRAM, all of those guys are spread over so many different teams. It's really hard to give each individual team what they want.
So you've gone Manitou?
We've gone to Manitou, yeah. Okay. They don't really support many other teams, but they've which is good for us because it means we get a bit more of their time and a bit more focus. But it's solely because it is the best product on the market. That fork is the best fork, and I do genuinely believe that. I think the EXT fork from Extreme that Joe's got on his bike will be an interesting one just because it's got the sliding bush. I think that's something that's a bit of a must, and we're definitely going to get together with Manitou and come up with a new fork pretty soon and hopefully get that type of stuff in there and the rest. But for sure the upside down, there's a reason they're used in motocross. You know, motocross don't have mountain bike forks, and there's good reasons for that if you look into it. So straight away I need the Manitou, and from 2 corners in, I was telling you last night, I nearly looped the bike out. Like I've never wheelied off the back of a bike before coming out of a corner, but just like the bike is insane. It's actually mental. So, but all the other things, as things progress, I want to have the team and the management, the riders and everybody close as one, as we say, complete unity, working together, making decisions as a team, and not just the team manager deciding what he wants and everybody else having to deal with it. And that stems to everything that we do, what pre-season races we do, where we go, where we stay. Because as a rider, you care more because you feel like you're involved. You're not just a piece of the puzzle. So
your role, sorry to interrupt you, is manager and owner?
I'm technically team owner.
And racer. And manager.
And athlete. A bit of a I'm helping with management. We have, at the moment, our team manager is Gregor. He's down on paper as manager. We haven't really sorted out on a CEO yet, but I'm also part owner of Gamux. So we own the bike brand as well as they are part of owning the team. Right. Which is again a completely unique part of this team. I don't think any other team out there is like that. Normally the bike brand gives the sponsorship money and a contract to the manager independently, then the manager runs his team off of that. We own the bike and the bike owns the team, so it works so much better. That what Pascal has set up there is absolutely outstanding, and the amount of companies now reaching out to him, engineering companies, and where Gamux on its own could go is like an infinite space, and then where Aon Racing can go along with that feels like a bit of an infinite space as well. So we can use the pair to help each other, and we never would have imagined how much help they would have actually given each other until these last couple of weeks. It's like, wow, this is really the best way to do it. You know, things work much better like this. So I'm also the kind of team visionary, so I've obviously always cared about how everything looks. Always really, really cared about my style, the kit colours, helmets, paints, like everything. I really care about the fine details. So I'm kind of the team visionary. Me and Max have made most of the decisions so far on the media. The guys keep it like branding and everything like that. They keep straight and commercialised sort of, so it's recognisable worldwide. And me and Max are left with like the creative sides of things, you know,
Okay.
like getting
This is
creative.
Max Sleeper
Sleeper Co. Yeah,
Max Rendell. Rendell?
That's the one. Yep, he's lived in my village his whole life as well. So me and him have been hand in hand working together since forever. You know, it's not even working together; it's hanging out as mates. And I'm super proud of him being able to do what he does, and being able to do it all with me now as well. So him and Glenn Thompson is also at Sleeper Co. He's recently done the Commensal, the latest Commensal movie that just dropped yesterday, 2 days ago.
Racer.
The racer. So Glenn's extraordinarily good at what he does too. So they have both committed to, obviously on budget wise, where everybody's a bit tight at the minute. We're getting better and better each week, but we're
terrifying, mate. To be honest, Sleeper Co. Max
off the chain,
creative freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty sick.
No, I'm really excited. Honestly,
He
nicknames me Director Lease every now and then because I really enjoy. Sometimes I have a vision for something and he can create exactly what I can see in my head, and quite often we'll make it and he'll be like, shit man, that's really good, like fair play to you, that was a good idea. And he can come up with good ideas and we work really, really well together. So I am very excited for the content that we'll create this year. There's going to be some really good stuff.
Really cool. So okay, this again, loads of questions. What's been the hardest part of this journey so far? Again, it's tough times out there in the industry, financially, things that people are struggling, you know, that's no secret. So what has been the hardest thing, and how have you gone about raising the amount of money that it's going to take to go and do this? Because it's going to take money. Money makes the world go round. And there's more rounds. You got to get 10 rounds.
More money, More
money. So how have you gone about doing that, if you care to elaborate?
The scariest part was the committing initially to leaving a contract. It's like I've just kind of said, it's not rinse and repeat, but it's like you take your money, you're on a salary.
Could you have stayed?
Yeah, I think I could have after Ludenville if I hadn't made such a mess leading up to Ludenville. But I was already kind of committed. But yeah, if I'd played my cards a bit better, I think they would have had me. So yeah, that was the hardest part, was like my parents even going, are you actually insane? You're going to walk away from this money for, well, hopefully we can make a team. Like, you sound mental, you know? And I just got a mortgage. I just bought a house 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, that was the hardest part, but I just knew, I believed in myself. I was like, we can do this. I believed in Paul. I believed in Tini and Gregor from what they've built. And we all sat down on a call and everybody went, no, we're going to do this. We can look after each other. We're not worried here. We're going to be fine. So that was the scariest part initially, was like, the what if, you know, I'm literally stepping off a cliff and hoping that something's down there to land on. So I had a few contacts. Rev Grips are one of our best paying sponsors this year. They've been absolutely outstanding. They've looked after me my whole career. The guy's always been on the phone, been like, if you need anything, sort you out. Like, he wanted to be a part of it straight away and, you know, put his money where his mouth is. He was like, yeah, this is sick and this is how much I believe in you guys, and here's the money and I want to see you do well and I want to see you exceed. And didn't really ask for a whole lot in return, but we're going to give them as much as we can in return for that, you know. So there's some like that kind of can happen easy just because the guys love you and you love them, and it's normal. And there's other ones that take months and months and months of just back and forward, trying to find a route in. And then with the economy at the moment, like the marketing guy that you were talking to is fired or moves, and then sometimes the line just vanishes, and it's like you were maybe talking for 100,000, 200,000, gone, silence, and you need to start again, all the way back to the start, new email line. It's crazy. It takes you a really, really long time, and that's something that we'll never stop doing. You have to constantly be reaching out to new companies, constantly watching the landscape of the economy, everything, absolutely everything has to be looked at. And fundamentally our sport's small and the money's spread really, really thin. By a very few.
We'll talk about that again in the van, weren't we, this morning, about even down to the components. You've got Shimano or SRAM, and all teams need them. So it's like, how much can they physically help each team? Exactly.
So that gets limited pretty quick. So we really don't have a choice but to reach out to those other companies and use our sport as a coat hanger to sell something more than just bicycles as well, because the sport, like you say, the vans, the camping, there's so many different things that are wrapped up in mountain biking that there's a lot of money in. There's a lot of those companies doing really well and still doing really well since COVID. So with this like awakening of the masses, I guess, and people going, maybe less phones and less internet and more outside time and more mountain biking and getting back into fitness again. I think everybody can see that happening, and that's going to benefit our sport massively. You know, cycling's one of the, I think, if not the biggest growing sport in the world right now. It's massive. So we need to jump on that. We need to realise that and remain positive.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
and look in all the little dark corners and see what's in there. You know, and that's exactly what we've been doing.
That's
so
cool, man.
Time-consuming stuff.
Mate, obviously super excited to see how this turns out. It's so good to get your take on it. Obviously, we had Sam in here a few weeks ago talking about his take on it, and it's, you know, even from the outside looking in, it all aligns and everyone seems to be on the same page, and that's a really exciting prospect, I think. Okay, are we good? We carry on? 5 minutes. All right, I reckon we might be able to slide this question in. We can get a little deeper. I think there's been a lot of changes in downhill. Obviously, broadcast changes, etc. Right? And I really wanted to get your take on it because you're here, and I think it's an important thing that we discuss, that people hear from, you know, from a racer's mouth. What's your current vision of downhill? Where do you see it going? Does some of these changes, does it worry you? Are you on board? Again, it's a bit of an open question. I'm sorry, but I'd just like to hear your side of what you feel like's going on.
I think we should be so lucky that a company as big as Warner Brothers Discovery has looked at our sport and thought that is worth investing millions.
Okay.
The biggest investment our sport's ever seen. I think you're crazy to think a company like that would purchase a sport with the intention of making it worse. It's not investing, you know? That's not what's happening here. We just have to give it time. Okay. That is, in my point of view, it will absolutely be better. I think there's a lot of aspects of it right now are already better. Of course, there's some difficult... It's a massive company. There's politics involved, and that's the part that I think people are having the hardest time with, is how unknown the changes are and how quickly it's happening. But finally, changes are happening. There's actually somebody trying to make a difference. You know, like, just let's try something different. And I think a lot of people, this sport, 29ers, oh, that's awful, you're ruining the sport over a wheel size, you know, and it's the same thing in this sport over and over again. It's full of such negative people that just don't want change. Okay. And like, we don't know if change is better if we don't try it. And yeah, some of these changes might not be better, but a lot of them will be better, and the best way to start is with a positive attitude. When's negativity ever solved any situation ever? It doesn't. Okay. And I think the industry has just taken this as, well, we don't want change, and you didn't ask us about it first. So, and that's kind of what it's been from the outside. I think, as far as I'm concerned, I've managed to set up a race team, and it's made it way easier being able to have Warner Brothers Discovery at the top of your pitches. Like, that's who's streaming our sport. TNT, BT Sport, that has helped us. It's already helping us. Okay. And if people say it isn't, then I think they're looking in the wrong places, because we've managed to do this in an economy that's so difficult right now, in an industry that's apparently really, really struggling. And that really entices people. When we mention that to people, they go, oh yeah, I know those guys, you know, I have the subscription already. Like, it's people are locked in. So on theory, mathematically, it all adds up. It makes sense. It should and could be better. So I'm positive about it. I think for me, I turn up to the race, the tracks are still sick. The organisation's amazing. There's less riders on the track, so the condition of the track's better. We've got more space in the pits. There's just as many fans turning up to every race. What more do you want? Yeah. You know?
Mate, it's just good to hear it from, I guess, someone... You say it's easy, and we've always taken a stance here with this of trying to be positive.
Yeah, you have to be.
You have to be, dude. It is hard, obviously, to ignore some of the online stuff. You know, people aren't happy about it being X amount of money now and this and that. And like you say, rightly so in some ways. Yeah, rightly so. Yeah. It used to be free. Yeah. Now it's not. Like, I get it. Like, it's hard, but ultimately we all hopefully want what's best for the sport. Yeah. And like you say, man, I honestly, if I've been totally honest, I'm kind of sat in the middle with it. Yeah. You know, I just am. Yeah. I love watching the races. I don't currently have that subscription. I'm like, okay, all right, I got to get that. You know, I get it. I'm not trying to take a hard stance either way. It's nice to hear it from someone who is in it. Like, you're in it, dude. Like, you've built a team around it. Yeah. Around the viewing figures and where it's going to be. Like, you're in it. So I think for most people, just to sit at home and not have the full picture and you know, be as in it as you are is, you know, it's tough, isn't it?
Well, like you say, it's the core audience are the ones that I think that feel like they've been hurt the most. But the core audience need to realise that we are a tiny speck. Our sport is an absolute speck on the map of sports. Like, it really is. So the core audience that you see on Pinkbike, that's a few hundred comments, In the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. We need like 1 or 2% of the 200 million viewers or whatever that Warner Brothers have with its subscriptions. We need a tiny percentage of that to come into our sport to make a massive difference. That would never have happened with how it was before. It would always remain on a website. And yeah, you could go and watch it for free, but our electricities went up. Your phone prices went up. The cars have went up. So is the core audience expecting this company to just be a charity for our sport? That's really what they're asking, you know? And the thing that bothers me is like, everything is going up in the world. So of course they're going up. But as long as the show goes up, as long as the standards of everything rise, and I know they are trying, they obviously have the UCI, notoriously difficult, and they also have venues to work with, of which some can be notoriously difficult. So there's 3 parties here, and everybody's dogging on one all of the time, saying you're the ones to blame. There's a lot more behind the scenes that are going on that we don't know about, that you have to just respect and go, these things are happening for a reason. They're doing it this way for a reason, and they're expecting to make money. They're coming into this to try and make money because it's an investment. But they can only make money if the sport becomes really popular. So you have to just give the belief to them and say, these guys, they know what they're doing. They're a multi-million-dollar company, you know, trillions maybe.
It's like, probably,
you have to just believe in them, you know. You have to believe in them and give them their due. It's, what is it, like a 7-8 year contract, and we're 3 years in. Just everybody calm down. I think there are things that are improving, and for sure if we get to the end of it and it hasn't improved and it's went backwards, sure, light them up, fire away. But right now, let's just try and be positive about it. Stop telling everybody to stop viewing it and stop watching it and boycott it. Like, come on, that's, you know, not helping. Not helping. So
it's a good take, man. I appreciate you doing it.
But yeah, as a rider, as a race team, we are going to try and deliver nothing but excitement, amazing media, and as a race team, we would really appreciate it for everybody to tune in, you know. And as a racer, I'll do my best to make it worth tuning in. Like, that's my job role, you know, and I hope all the other racers view it the same way. So cool. If good you do buy the subscription, guys, I really appreciate it. We really do.
All right, quick break. We're going to do some listener questions, and then you can go back to Scotland.
All the way back home.
This episode is brought to you by Invisiframe. Now, I've just finished up building my new bike, and the very first thing I did was get my Invisiframe PPF ordered and fitted. In fact, I was terrified to even touch my jet ski custom Focus without it, I'll be honest. Now it's done, I'm happy hurtling down the rockiest of tracks without a care in the world, as I know my pride and joy is protected. The cool thing about Invisiframe is you can't tell. The kits are made to measure and you can't see it even has one on. In the meantime, it's protecting my two-wheeled investment, and I have the peace of mind that it will be worth more should I ever come to sell it. I mean, I don't think I will, but yeah. How do I get a kit, I hear you ask? Well, I simply visited invisiframe.co.uk and searched for my bike and model. I had a kit shipped to my door days later. Not only that, I have a secret code which gave me a 15% discount. And I'm willing to share it with companionship members because I'm a really, really nice guy. Enter The Ride Companion, all lowercase, at checkout and receive, that's right, 15% off your order. And that goes for more than just frame protection too. Invisiframe make PPF for forks, cranks and loads of other great products to keep your bike looking great. Head to invisiframe.co.uk and The Ride Companion for 15% off your order. Thanks, Invisiframe. Back to the show.
Another fantastic break. We just keep. Okay, listener questions. Before we do listener questions, I got a little thing I wanted to do with you. I think this might be quite fun. So I'm going to read off the tracks for 2025.
Yeah.
The venues. One word to describe it from you.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to listener questions. All right? We'll do it quick as well.
Uh-huh.
Whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. Round one. Biesco. I can't say it. Poland.
Poland, that'll do. I can't say it either. Home.
Home. Nice. All right. Ludenville.
Home. Steroids. I need 2 for that. Ruts. That's the memory.
Ruts. Leogang.
Oh, motorway.
Motorway. It's good. Val di Sol. A.
Arm pump. 2 words.
Le Tuile.
Unknown.
Unknown. Andorra.
Ooh, elevation.
Elevation. Leger.
Flying.
Lenzerheide.
Oh, fun.
Lake Placid.
Unknown.
Unknown. Mount St. Anne.
Dreams.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I think that's the one that if I was going to go to one next year, it could be MSA. I really want to go check that one out. All right, let's do some listener questions, dude. We got a shitload.
Cool.
But we'll try and pick out some random ones and some funny ones. Okay. What we got? Callum P. Robbo. Aside from bike sports, what other sports do you follow or have interest in?
So massive interest in motocross, obviously, as we know, being a motocross kid. I've actually adapted and taken golf into my life in quite a big way.
Yep.
I think
meditation sticks.
Yeah, I think if you're a competitive person, they can really get you, and they got me bad. So for the last 3 or 4 years, I've followed the PGA, the whole live golf, that tournament, swapping over, and I think you can learn a lot from that sport. It's one of the biggest sports in the world. So yeah, pretty follow that. And that's kind of it on the sport front. Obviously, MotoGP, Formula One. I do try and tune into those as much as possible. I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan of them, but I can respect driving a car fast, and I can respect riding a motorbike really fast, and I love the tech and all the equipment that's involved in that. So those are probably my main sports, but I love playing and being a part of any sport. I love all sport, basically. I'm a very physical person, so...
Not disc golf, though. It's crap.
Yeah. Take a 9-iron over your dome.
Okay. MTB Climb Car. Do you think a particular track will suit the gearbox bike in the upcoming season?
No, I think it'll be pretty well-rounded everywhere. It's if I'm 100% honest, there's definitely a bit more resistance out of the gearbox. It doesn't feel like the bike pedals overly efficient, but I don't believe a World Cup race has been won strictly on a sprint in like the last 5 years minimum. You know, it's like, when was the last time somebody was down and then suddenly sprinted over the line and won? It's like, it doesn't really happen. So I don't think any track will stand out. I think the roughest ones, it'll look the best and sound the best. So it might be highlighted as more of a success there. But I think it'll be good everywhere. I don't think it's really not found a weakness yet.
Not found a weakness yet. What? When did that? This is from me. My question. There's 100K up for grabs. That must be a bit of a aim.
Well,
when did that get thrown around?
Yeah, it was an afterthought. We started the team and we had committed to Gates and Pinion and all of that before that came out. I think Pascal maybe knew about it beforehand, because obviously he's pretty tight with Gates, but I had no idea about that. And obviously when it came out and I was going to be on a gearbox, I was like, well, that's great. That's really good. I don't know how they're going to work it. Like, obviously the females race first, so it's 100K for the first World Cup win.
100K.
But they race first.
Okay.
So if the female wins, let's say Rachel wins, but Monica, Hattie,
yeah,
myself,
of course,
any one of the females, and then the male wins in the afternoon as well. I'm guessing they're going to have to split the money. So first round, it could absolutely happen.
The rumour mill is circulating about Rachel doing a few races. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
the lure of the 100K.
You can't blame them.
No,
you can't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound better. I think it's cool. It'd be really cool if she turned up and raced the whole season. I definitely don't think, and we would never do it in our team, like turn up to race and then just win it and not race another one. I think that there's nothing stopping you doing it, but it would be nice to see if Rachel's going to come back, and the sport loves Rachel, and I think the sport needs Rachel, and it needs the Athertons involved. And I think it'd be really cool if she raced the whole season and won an overall maybe on a belt drive. It's like that'd be epic to see. So yeah, I think we're all excited to see what their plan is there and what they're going to do.
For sure. Exciting times. It's cool to see just like an outside sponsor as well, just throwing up this big cash prize.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah. We've never seen that before. That's never happened.
Let's have more. Yeah. Just incentivize people.
Absolutely.
It only makes it better. Pedro Goncalves. Why so much flat pedal testing?
I just love pedaling flat pedals. I just love flat pedals on a bike. There's a feeling that you get through your foot. I've always put clips as an ice cube. Standing on a clip pedal feels like you're standing on an ice cube.
Right.
I
don't ride them, dude. Never have.
Square right in the middle of your foot that's metal on metal, so it slides about all the time. Yeah, just not a big fan of it. If I was riding mountain bikes for fun and I wasn't doing it as a profession, I'd never ride clips. And I think the reason most people ride clips is because they can't ride flats, and they need to be honest with themselves and be like, I have a massive hole in my technique. And flats are really difficult. Flats are the expert level of bike riding. It's the ultimate form of it, and it's really, really difficult. Unless your technique is absolutely on point, your feet are going to fall off the flats, and you're going to have a really shit time. So, and I've already noticed since I've started posting on Instagram, there's loads of people posting their trail bikes at home, and loads of pro guys are now, their coaches and stuff are obviously saying, yeah, he's right. There's a lot to be made from that, and I see a lot of guys already starting to. None of them are shouting it for the rooftops like I am, but. Yeah. I'm watching. I can see it. It's definitely influential.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've spent most of my childhood on flat pedals as well, so it kind of just feels normal. Motocross bike, you're not clipped in, so it just feels natural to me. Yeah. Yeah.
Good answer, mate. What we got here? Okay, it's a good one. Thomas Hughes 49333. What would you change about the World Cup format?
I would have either selective chainless or beltless races throughout the year, so no drivetrain.
Interesting.
No pedaling at all.
Mate, I like it.
I would have it like Triple Crown races. So you'd have 1 or 2 races of the year would be drivetrainless races. So it's like BMX and downhill. And I would also have one like mass start downhill race. So you'd have the track like 30, it'd be shorter, it'd only maybe be a minute and a half, 2 minutes, but it'd be like 20 to 30 foot wide, and you'd start with maybe you'd have 10 guys in a final. So the track is actually super wide. So you'd walk the track, and depending on what qualifying place you got would depend on what side of the grid you were on. And once you dropped in, there would be fast lines.
Yeah.
But I think as a sport to spectate, it would be the best in the world, possibly. Stood at the side of that with like 10 guys charging down through the trees.
Not mad at it. There's a reason four-cross is so exciting to watch, dude.
It is. It really is. And I think it can be done right. If you added the speed of downhill now with the talent of the guys and the size of the jumps, it would look like straight rhythm and downhill had a baby. And I think it'd be extraordinary for the fans. I think it'd be a really cool sport. You could do it on an open hillside as well, on the actual ski piste. So take it out of the trees, so the viewing would be like watching ski racing.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool idea. And I'd also like a night race.
A night race.
I think they should do a special stage on an evening like the rally stuff, because the rally night stages are some of the coolest in the world. Imagine Leger at night with those fans at the bottom, and the racers have a headlight, and they have a light on the bike, so all you can see is the bike coming down through it. I think it'd be epic for a racer. I think that would be really cool to do. And whether they put it towards your points, maybe they have less points for it, or I've got loads of ideas.
Mate, street race for me. I want to see a street race.
More street races would be cool.
Yeah, street race would be so sick as part of the calendar.
Yeah. They're just so dangerous, really man. Cool.
Yeah.
They're just, none of the riders
You done one or not?
Those. I've never done one, no. Done one. But I love razzing bikes around the streets. I love a stair set. So I would go.
There's one in Mexico next month.
Yeah.
Stuff out
there. Yeah. No, never say never.
All right, what else we got? And then we're going to get you out of here. Let's do it. Thomas Allen 07, what would you spend 100k on?
I will treat the team to steak and wine as much as they can eat until they need to be rolled out the restaurant. That'll be step one. I will definitely put a massive percentage of that back into the team if I get it. And with what's left, I will probably do up my house and obviously pay the government some tax, which will be too much, I would imagine. But yeah, I'll probably try and do some of my housework. Actually.
Nice, very good.
Pretty mature answer.
A very mature answer. Thanks. Yeah, you could have said all kinds of weird things. Okay, what else we got? Oscar Regenin, what helped you the most on getting faster and more confident on a bike?
Just practice, man. Unfortunately there's no fast track to being really good. You have to do your 10,000 hours. You have to ride as many different bikes on as many different terrains as you can possibly manage, and you have to take some risks, and you have to learn the lessons. Watch the professionals, copy most of what they do, especially their good points. Study the sport like you've got absolutely nothing to lose, and it's all you want, and you might just get there.
Yeah, nice.
It's a lot of hard work.
At Max Rendall.
Oh yeah.
Is Gran Turismo the true secret to speed and skill?
There's definitely something to be said for that. Cole Lucas, you said you weren't tuning in on Supercross racing recently, but Cole Lucas has been obviously taking the Supercross world by storm recently, and he said pre-moto he was just in the motorhome on Supercross on the PS5, just sessioning it out. And then
something to be said for that,
comes out and dominates.
There's something to be said for it, I think. Did you hear, I think it was Patrick Evans maybe talking about using like an MX simulator?
Yeah.
There's something to be said for it, man.
Absolutely. It's weird because you need one in order to have the other, if you know what I mean. So if you've only ever played video games, you can't just get on a motocross bike and do it like you do in a video game, and vice versa. But if you're like pretty good on one and you're pretty good on the other, then they actually start helping each other. Because I've seen myself sitting on a sofa, like playing a game, and like I'll come round a corner to do a seat bounce, and I physically do the motion on the seat, and like my legs twitch. My elbows will twitch, like when I'm watching it on the screen. So your muscles are actually riding that bike in that moment in time. So definitely something to be said.
Taking tear off.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny, we went and Ollie and I went to see Formula E in London.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like the electric Formula One.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. But a lot of that is just aimed at gamers. It's like if they can get these young kids to be able to race a sim, they can pretty much, because I think one of the fastest guys, even in F1, is like a Formula sim racer. Yeah. But they just can transfer it.
Red Bull recently done a YouTube video on that. They took the sim racer, the world champion sim racer from 2023, or maybe actually this year, 24, and put him in a Formula One car. And the test Formula One driver was, same pace. Wow. He was basically a professional Formula One driver.
Wow.
Within 3 days of driving the car.
Yeah.
And that was their reaction as well. They all went, wow. How?
Yeah. Maybe we should take the Mad Skills, best Mad Skills player, and just see if he's good at actually riding a dirt bike.
That's the thing with mountain biking and motocross. They'll never really, I don't think there'll ever really be a simulator, not in our lifetime, I wouldn't have thought, that can simulate the feeling of a mountain bike. It's so unique and it's so rare. And you get those super bike ones in the arcades that are like the big motorbikes. Yeah. And I guess that's pretty close for a MotoGP bike, but you're never going to get, however many horsepower those things are, like trying to rip off your arms on a sofa in your house.
No, you're not going to go do a fast lap round Laguna Seca.
No, exactly, yeah. So it's like, you can get there close, but you'll never get there fully. But yeah, PS5 Supercross is probably the closest you'll get.
Nice. All right, we'll end on this one. It's a perfect one to end on. It's an awful Instagram handle, but we're going to go with it. It's from @LenNipples. But it's a good question, so fair play, Len. Do you have any ranking goals for the 2025 season?
I have set absolutely no goals whatsoever as far as a ranking goes. I view a result as a cherry. The cake's what you're going for, and the cherry's the part on the top that you might eat. Maybe it's too dry and you'll throw it on the plate at the side. It's like, I really don't care. And for everything else that we have going on in the team right now, I know what I'm capable of. So why I don't need to sit and drive myself mad about it, because if you fall short of a goal, sometimes it's more hurtful than just not having a goal at all. You definitely need to set goals in life, so don't think that I don't have goals set, but it doesn't base around a result. I need a first place at round one, and then I need I really don't care. It'll come when it comes, and it'll come when the time's right. I'm super wrapped up in helping all of the other riders on the team. I want to coach them all so much. I want to help everybody as much as I possibly can. I have so many goals that are out with performance. So I'm just going to turn up this year and razz my bike down a hill and have a shit ton of fun. Is really about the size of it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure when that happens, results normally come as a byproduct. So that's the goal, really. Dude,
it's super exciting. It's what the sport probably needs. World champion turned team owner, bringing outside investment into the sport, building bikes, owning bike brand. Like, it's all insane, dude. So honestly, I just want to wish you the best of luck. Like,
thank you.
Best of success. I really hope you do what people will know you're capable of.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I say, we're doing it because we want to do it. And at the end of the day, we're not doing it to get rich. We're just doing it to kind of prove points to ourselves. And like you say, if we help the industry along the way, that's going to be fantastic. We're going to help young talent as much as we can, and I'm hoping that we're going to be a team that's going to be here forever, and I'll hopefully retire into being a manager and being the team that all of these young kids want to be on, and that's the goal. So
it's exciting, mate. It's really exciting.
Yeah, buzzing, man.
Super.
Honestly, I'm really excited,
man. It's super exciting. Maybe you should check in, maybe in middle of the year. Let's see how the season's going. Come back with an episode. Definitely. That'd be fun.
Nah, I've really enjoyed it.
This storyline a little bit.
Yeah, it's been mega. I've enjoyed hanging out with your sick guy and good convo. I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, we'll be back.
All right. if anyone doesn't know, where can people follow you in the team? Where's the best things people can go to?
It's at Aon Racing on Instagram right now is where we're going to be putting most of our stuff up. Obviously, you can follow me personally, Reece Wilson on Instagram, Rico Wilson. But we're going to have a website coming soon, which will be Aon Racing as well. We've got Aon email addresses. It's going to be pretty much everywhere. Eventually, we don't quite have a Facebook sorted yet, and we don't have an X sorted, but we'll get there. But yeah, Instagram, YouTube. That's where to find us.
Yeah.
Obviously, keep in touch with. If you follow Sleeper, you'll see most of it. But Aon Racing on Instagram is your place to be. We'll all be up there.
All right, big up Rico. Good luck. Like and subscribe. Peace out.
Thank you so much, guys.
Mate, what an episode.
Brilliant. I thought you were really great, Davey.
Mate, and I thought you were even better.
Thanks, dude.
Better than normal.
Oh, cheers.
Hey, how about we tell our lovely podcast community to hit subscribe here.
Yeah.
Click on the video on Ollie's face.
That's right.
Click on the video on my face.
Yeah.
And follow us at The Ride Companion on Instagram.
They can like and comment as well.
Please do.
I'm going to try and get this energy and I'm going to bring it into next week.
Let's fast forward to next week's episode.
Done.